Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Katie Wilson is such a national embarrassment that even the Washington Post editorial board is criticizing her. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
So let's kick off the month with communism, huh? It's May Day. There's nothing American about May Day. This is originally a socialist holiday that became a communist holiday that has now become a holiday of the left to protest whatever they want. I'm not even sure they know what they're protesting. Earlier this week, I got an email with their list of all the things they're doing for May Day, and yet I didn't actually understand what they're protesting about. It was just, hey, we have a rally here, and we have a protest here, and we have this here, and we have that there, and I wasn't entirely sure what they were even protesting for. According to Fox News, over 600 groups with $2 billion in revenue have mobilized 3,000 May Day protests across the country. Over 20 school districts across the country are walking out of school today. Now, the one that makes the least amount of sense to me is the Chicago school district. 1 in 5 kids, 1 in 5 in the Chicago school district are at grade level. 1 in 5. So you think they need another day off from school? Oh, we're teaching them about social justice. Oh, so here's what you're teaching them. Social justice means you get to skip school. So that's what they're learning today. And they're learning that this costs them time in class. Woohoo! So if we just buy into the social justice nonsense and say we want to protest, we get out of class? All right. Lesson learned. It's like how I learned that by talking about my parents' divorce, I could get out of tests. Oh, Ari, we feel so bad for you. Yeah, I really just can't take that test today. I'm not up for it. I want to go protest social justice today. I shouldn't have to turn in that paper I haven't done yet. Here's the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, encouraging this nonsense.
And so, young people today, you're here by choice. You are here because you are creating action that will turn into power. Do not let anyone take your power away from you as young people. Thank you for being a part of this movement. Thank you for raising your voices as young people.
What does that actually mean, take your power away from you? You know what actual power is? Actual power is having an education where now you know how to do stuff. And because you can do stuff, you can make a good living. And because now you make a good living, you can have a good life. Actual power means working your way up in this world, not going outside and yelling and claiming everybody else is to blame for the reason you are the way you are. This is the way it is. You want to do something about it? Go do something about it. You want to change your stars? Go do something about it. Yelling and screaming in the street, claiming everybody else is to blame, whether it's Trump or it's ICE or it's who knows what, capitalism, whatever it is. That is not why you are where you are in your life. And you know what? Unfortunately, that doesn't make a really good campaign pitch. Sorry, guys, I can't promise you anything. You suck. You want to change things about it? Maybe go back to school. Maybe get a different job. Maybe move to a different city. I guess that's not a good campaign promise. Probably not. Our Washington State Democratic Party is hopping on this bandwagon in a serious, serious way. So, according to Jessica Russack-Hoffman, intrepid reporter for the Jewish News Syndicate, yesterday's newsletter from the Washington State Democratic Party chair, Shasti Conrad, pointed people to May Day protests today in Cal Anderson Park. That includes this demand. You want to know what they're protesting for? Here we go. From Lebanon to the Philippines, from Cuba to Palestine, stop the U.S. war machine. No money for Trump's war on Iran. Stop sending troops or weapons from JBLM, Bremerton, or Whidbey Island. Arms embargo now. So let's just take that little piece of this manifesto that was sent out today. Let's just take that little smidgen. What is the Washington State Democratic Party chair pushing for right now? They are pushing for you to embargo arms dealers, arm manufacturers, arm distributors, arms manufacturing. You know, we have this big company here that does a lot of that. It's called Boeing, and they have many subsidiaries here that do a lot of it. So you guys already chased away Amazon. You guys already chased away Starbucks. You guys already sort of half chased away Boeing. You just want to kick them all out the door? I thought you guys wanted the rich to pay their fair share. I thought you wanted corporations to pay their fair share. Now you're targeting whoever's left, you lunatics. Got a question for you. How does anything in Lebanon affect your life here? Is the U.S. bombing Lebanon? No. Hezbollah, the terrorist group in Lebanon, has killed many Americans, most notably in the 1980s, killing over 241 U.S. Marines. So you want us to protest on behalf of Lebanon? The Philippines? Cuba, yeah! Yeah, let's go communism! Woo, Castro, yes! Palestine, give me a break. This is what we're doing. So you want to stop U.S. manufacturing of weapons. You want to stop U.S. manufacturing of coffee. You want to stop U.S. manufacturing of anything Amazon distributes. You want to do that for what? For what? Who are these winners? Who are all the groups that are supporting this? Oh, ILPS, the ones responsible for all the riots around here. SEIU, get whatever they want. MLK Labor, SEIU, Democratic Socialists of America. Lots and lots of groups here. They all look like a whole bunch of socialists, communists, and Democrat supporters, but I repeat myself. Oh, Seattle Indivisible, the ones behind No Kings, of course, too. Wow, all these labor councils. So now you're just putting the communists together with the pro-terrorist types, together with the anti-business, but that's the same thing as communists. So what are we actually marching for? So what you're telling me is the Democratic Party is now flat out calling for communism and not even hiding the ball. Flat out supporting terrorism and not even hiding it. This is the chair of the Democrat Party. Well, JNS asked the Democrat Party about it, and here's what they wrote in an article today. The Washington State Democratic Party is now distancing itself from a May Day rally promoted in a newsletter from Party Chair Shasti Conrad that calls for an arms embargo in the Middle East, saying the party's official policy platform has yet to be determined. In a Thursday email, Conrad highlighted several May Day events, including a Friday rally organized by Seattle May Day that demands an arms embargo and an end to U.S. military support for conflicts in the Middle East, and asked whether the call for an arms embargo from state suppliers reflects the policy platform of the state party. Stephen Reed, director of communications for the party, told JNS that delegates to the Washington Democratic Party State Convention in June will decide our state party's policy platform as the guiding document for our party and candidates. He says our state party does not have purity tests. Really? Because it seems like if they don't support terror, socialism, or communism, they don't get your endorsement. He said the broader goals of protesting the Trump administration, calling for a more fair tax system, and preventing waste of American lives and resources in wars of choice are all in alignment with our party's vision. You know what your party's vision is? You know what happened the last time they had their party platform? Do you guys remember this? We covered this extensively. They supported Hamas. They supported Hezbollah. They supported Iran. That was the last time they had a policy platform meeting. That's what they voted on. They voted against the Jews. They voted against America. They voted for terrorists. They voted for DEI. They voted against capitalism. They voted for socialism. They voted for communism. The party platform is still online. Go look it up. Democrat Party, they're not even hiding the ball anymore. They got Graham Planter, whatever his dumb last name is, the Nazi they endorsed. We'll talk about him later in the show. This is who they are. This is what they do. This is who's out in the streets. And this is why you should yank your kids out of any school district that let the kids walk out of class today. These teachers say, oh, we're doing it to teach them about social justice. Kids should not be involved in the politics. Reading, writing, arithmetic, history, science, STEM courses. That's what they should be doing. Not this nonsense. What is the upside to any of this? What is the upside? Trump bad? They just want to brainwash the kids into little stormtroopers, into little shock protesters. Now, what's crazy to me is a couple days ago, they had this protest at the University of Washington. Why? Turning Point USA was having a speaker there. They had one of those Charlie Kirk-style events where they set up a Prove Me Wrong tent with Nick Freitas, a former Green Beret and Republican lawmaker who became a political commentator. And what happened was a whole bunch of people showed up to protest. Well, while protesting, one of the protesters got arrested. So they called for a protest at the local jail to get the protester who was arrested for protesting out of the local jail. Then the next day, they called for a protest at the University of Washington. So they're having a protest to support the protester who got arrested for protesting. Now they have a letter into the administration, and this one really cracks me up. They have a letter into the administration protesting the fact that this protester got arrested for protesting. This is how they're spending their time. Do you see the circuitous nature of all this? Oh, it gets so much worse. According to the College Fix, and this is written by Paris Apakota, who goes to the University of Washington. This is a news outlet that we've had them on the show many times where they cover the insanity that's happening at college campuses. They said progressive student groups claim their free speech was violated Wednesday at the University of Washington after a protester was arrested for trying to drown out Turning Point USA's chapter event with Nick Freitas. Protesters chanted trans rights are human rights, TPUSA go away as one student banged loudly on a drum. In passing, another student compared conservatism to a contagion and said we all need to be inoculated. Oh, they're all about the vaccines, aren't they? So this is what was a little bit crazier as this thing progressed. The protest for the protester who got arrested for protesting. The flyer had something interesting in it. The flyer said this. In addition, this is what they're protesting. UW's decision to engage in repression against peaceful protests while uplifting Turning Point USA and Ari Hoffman, who are known to parrot and spread violent hate speech, is a direct contradiction to the University of Washington Civil Rights Code. And I love this little line here. To the best of my knowledge, Ari Hoffman, a conservative Jewish radio host in Seattle, did not attend our event on Wednesday. Also to note, the protesters were flying the pro-Palestinian flag. Is that a violation? It's not a pro-Palestinian flag. I have to talk to this very nice young reporter. They don't know everything. It's just the Hamas flag. We'll just go with that for a second. It's okay. It's okay. You're young. You don't know. You're getting a UW education. It's fine. We'll fix that. It's no problem. So you guys are flying flags of terrorist organizations, and that's not a violation of the UW Civil Rights Code? Spitting on this guy while he's speaking, spitting on Freitas while he's speaking, that's not a violation of the Civil Rights Code? A whole bunch of your students showing up and shutting down a fundraiser in downtown Seattle, that's not a violation of your Civil Rights Code? By the way, what the hell did I do? How did I get involved in this? I wasn't even at the thing. I drove down to Vancouver, Washington yesterday. We recorded the show a little early yesterday. I wasn't even in the city yesterday. But somehow they're coming after me. I love that I live rent-free in their heads. I really, really do. Oh, it's all the big bad Ari Hoffman. Sure, that's what it is. This is what these kids are being brainwashed with. There was a kid who was there at the protest yesterday. I'm not sure he's actually a kid. Looks a little older. Man identified by Stop Anti-Semitism as Dennis Zialik is harassing Jewish students and faculty with disturbing anti-Semitic signage. What does it say? Abolish Jewishness, and then claiming the Holocaust was a good thing. He was previously arrested and booked in 2023 on a felony charge of aggravated criminal damage after admitting to spray painting anti-Semitic graffiti outside the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in Phoenix. What is he doing here? Why is he here in Seattle? I've never seen this kid before in my life, and I go to enough of these protests. I kind of recognize everybody now. It's the same people every time. Well, during the autonomous zone in 2020, and anytime there's a big riot somewhere, people fly in from all over the place. Where's going to be the big riot this time? So just like the influencers and the streamers and the people in conservative media who go, do we go to Portland today to cover this, to get the best footage? Do we go to Seattle? Do we go to Washington, D.C.? These protesting activists just do protest tourism. They go around the country looking for the place which they think is going to be the biggest protest, and this guy came here to Seattle. You have all these groups ranging from Code Pink to SEIU. Some of them, like Code Pink, are backed by the Chinese Communist government to get the kids out of the classroom and into the arms of these radical activists. So when you see them chanting and screaming Cal Anderson Park today, and employees around here were talking about going home early, going home late, how can they avoid the protests that are going to be blocking different streets today, realize you have a whole bunch of kids that are being brainwashed out there today by at least 20 school districts that we know about saying, we're going to celebrate this socialist holiday. We're going to celebrate this communist holiday. Last time I checked, May Day was about workers' rights. And what are they protesting for? Terrorist organizations. What are they protesting for? Communism. And you see that more and more with the polls that are being taken, younger generations of kids who identify with the left, more and more okay with political violence, more and more okay with socialism, supporting, full out supporting censorship and communism. And this is exactly how every awful revolution has started in this world. They use the young kids to get their agenda because the young kids think they're doing social justice or whatever they call it at the time. And then the radicals take over after using the useful idiots. This is exactly what happened in Iran, and we've been dealing with it for the last 47 years. Students started this nonsense because they were brainwashed with bad ideas. And the Ayatollahs rolled their coattails into power. We are seeing it happen in the United States of America. We are seeing this going on right now. And you're seeing it coast to coast. It's not just here in Seattle. It used to be about 10, 15 years ago, what was it? The local anarchists would show up and kick in the window of the Nike store downtown while wearing Nike sneakers. And we just made fun of them. Now it's a whole lot worse than that. Now what it is, this is a movement that is going after our kids. There is a little smidgen of hope, a little smidgen. A few weeks ago, I interviewed Ben Schuldiner. Ben Schuldiner is the new superintendent of Seattle Public Schools. And he was talking about the new direction he wants to take Seattle Public Schools in. Seattle Public Schools ain't one of the districts that's walking out today. Normally, they'd be at the front of the line. They're not walking out today. This week alone, Ben Schuldiner implemented the ban on cell phones during class time. He also announced the new curriculum that they're going to be using in Seattle Public Schools, which from a cursory look at this thing is a much, much better curriculum than what they're using right now. He says our focus should be on the classroom. Our focus should be on safety. And I gave him benefit of the doubt. So until he proves me otherwise, he gets the benefit of the doubt, and it looks like he's doing everything he promised he would do. Let's look at the curriculum and figure out why our kids are failing. Let's figure out why the kids aren't at reading level. Let's figure out why they aren't at math level. Let's find out why they aren't succeeding. The schools are dangerous. We need to make them safer. The kids are spending too much time on their cell phones. Let's ban technology. Every other school district, every other state is starting to do it because it's gotten so out of control. The worst parenting mistake I ever made of my life was getting my kids' cell phones too early. That's on me. I admit that now. That was one of the biggest parenting mistakes of my life. Seattle Public Schools apparently went so far to the left that now Ben Schuldiner, he's not a Republican. Ben Schuldiner, he is definitely a Democrat. But he is realizing our focus should be on educating students, keeping them safe while they are in our care, and educating young minds, not whatever has been going on until now. If the Seattle Public School District can recognize that, then every other public school district in the country can recognize this as well. Normally, this is the part where I would say, pull your kids from the public schools. That's normally what I will say. But if Ben Schuldiner is successful in this, and if others are successful in turning around the public schools, this might be an actual time where the left has pushed it too far. You remember during COVID, all the parents that rose up and said, I'm running for school board, I'm running for school district, I'm running for all these things because they had enough of the radical curriculum when they saw what their kids were being taught at home on Zoom school. They pulled their kids out of the schools. They went to charter schools. They flooded the private schools. They flooded homeschooling. That's what they did. This could be another moment where the school districts have gone so insane, and you see these kids carrying the Hamas flags and the PFLP flags and the Hezbollah flags and Castro and you name it. All this other stuff out there, they're not in class, they're not learning. Could this be another moment where the parents finally step up and say, as opposed to yanking my kids out, I might actually have a chance to change this? This is a possible moment for that. I'm trying to be a little cautiously optimistic, more so than I normally am, where they can't be saved, can't be saved, can't be saved. I'm going to give Ben Schuldiner a benefit of the doubt until he proves me otherwise, and so far he's been doing everything he said he was going to do. You look at all these other school districts like in Chicago, like in Los Angeles, like in New York, where they're walking out today, and they're carrying Nazi signs because now the Democrat Party has fully endorsed the Nazis, so why wouldn't they? People are going to look at this and say, nope, that's our line. And when you worry about the midterm elections, the saving grace right now is people are going to say, who's less crazy? And they're going to see these kids walking outside with the terrorist signs, with the Nazi signs, and say, that's crazy. I don't want that anymore. Things may not be great right now, but I don't want that. That is how crazy the left has gone, that they are now taking kids out of school to celebrate a communist holiday. That's what you're going to see in your drive home today. And speaking of communists, by the way, Seattle is once again a national embarrassment because of Katie Wilson. She's such an embarrassment, she can't even answer simple questions and ran away from a reporter again. We'll have that insane audio for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson is a national embarrassment. Fox News did a little segment on her the other day after that little comment where she heard about the Capitol flight and said, bye. and use the word like 30,000 times? Here, give a listen.
States have been seeing a wealth exodus for years, but their leaders are still doubling down on taxes. Washington state is set to impose a 10% tax on millionaires, and Seattle's socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, is looking at even more progressive proposals to separate residents from their money. Wilson is also sending a pretty clear message to the wealthy: don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye.
And just months after Wilson urged a boycott of Starbucks, the Seattle-based company, well, it is shifting south, pouring $100 million and 2,000 jobs into Nashville. So if you torture them enough, eventually they will leave, Marcus. Whether you're a billionaire or a business owner, I think the flippant nature in which Wilson is saying, they're not going to leave, like almost like this is some big joke or some big game. It's really not.
Now, for our Democrat listeners, before you say, well, of course Fox News is going to do that, you go on Fox News. Of course the conservatives are going to beat her up. There is a new editorial piece out in the Washington Post. The Washington Post. Hang on. Let me go to my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. Let's see what I got here. I got Daily Wire, Daily Caller, Fox News, Newsmax, KVI. I do not have the Washington Post, and certainly not their editorial board. They have a new editorial that's going to be printed tomorrow. That is literally almost word for word what Fox just said. And it's not written by a Fox anchor. It is written by the Washington Post editorial board. Because even the Washington Post recognizes how far gone Seattle is. When you have the Seattle mayor, the day she gets elected, go out and protest Starbucks. Then Starbucks decides to leave because the Democrats passed this insane income tax and corporate taxes and capital gains taxes and excise taxes and every other kind of tax, including employee payroll taxes. While places like Nashville are incentivizing you to bring the jobs there. There's a new write-up from our friends at Change Washington. You know how much money Washington could lose when Starbucks leaves? $750 million minimum. $750 million. This is what happens when your state is being led by ideological leftists rather than anybody who's ever actually had a job before and knows what they're doing. Katie Wilson was doing an interview with senior reporter of Como News, Chris Daniels. Chris Daniels did a great job with this, so no making fun of Chris Daniels today. Not going to do it today. He was asking her some very basic questions, and her staff, again, yanked her away and tried that whole, this isn't what we're supposed to be talking about today, even though it's basically on topic. This is one of the most awkward moments. I wish I could show you Chris Daniels' face in this whole thing. Give a listen.
I wouldn't be an excellent reporter if I didn't ask you. It's been an eventful week, and I think people are concerned about you. How do you feel after Tuesday, after what happened, what transpired?
I'm doing great. Got a great team supporting me, and I'll just say,
Okay, hang on. They're not talking about the viral clip. They're talking about somebody shot at the building she was in, not because of her, just because of crime in Seattle.
We don't have any indication that that shooting was targeted or anything like that. So I think it's a reminder of how much work we have to do as a city on gun violence, but I'm doing fine.
And the last question would be related to that I talked to people in that neighborhood who said that, hold on, it's just one last question. People in that community who are concerned that there's been rising gun violence and that there should be more surveillance cameras and that kind of thing. That's obviously been an issue that you weighed in on. Does that change it? Does that change your perspective at all?
Let's keep it on. Yeah, let's keep it on the top of this event. Thanks.
But does that change your perspective at all on the issue of surveillance cameras based on what you went through on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh.
Appreciate it, but let's keep it on top.
The staff
She's
was
about to
taking
answer
her.
the question, though. Okay.
Bye.
I mean, it looks worse when you jump in like that.
I'm sorry, I specifically said to keep it on topic. Okay.
But I also have to ask the questions that people want to have answered.
Maybe we can set up a different time for that.
But the mayor's a busy person.
I understand. Maybe we can set up with Sage sometime.
We'll talk to Sage.
Well, Sage hasn't returned phone calls all week, so.
It's been a busy week, but I will definitely get with Sage. Yeah.
we're just trying to keep it in the scope and respect the event itself. If that makes sense.
Well, you can respect what I'm doing.
Your job is to ask questions. It's our job to ask questions.
We just need to keep it within the constraints of the event itself.
I'll talk to Sage. Take it out.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, we're done here.
Were you going to talk to Andrew?
I already did.
You already did. Okay.
We got
All right.
4 minutes, so.
Okay.
Okay, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. So let me break that down for you, that last little part. Sage is her chief of staff. Sage never responds to anything. He's her comms guy, not chief of staff. He never responds to any emails, anything. We have sent him emails since she got into office. We don't even get cursory responses. We don't even get the Mike Falk obnoxious responses or Chase Gallagher obnoxious responses. I've never missed Mike Falk and Chase Gallagher so much in my life. I'd rather the obnoxious responses that I used to get from King County and from Jay Inslee's office than absolute silence. Apparently, they're freezing out Chris Daniels, too, that now he has to go do Jonathan Cho-style journalism to try and get interviews with the mayor of Seattle with the top news station for TV in our area. And here's the thing. What was he asking about? Safety. Safety. There's a shooting. Well, how are you going to catch those guys? You don't have enough cops. And rather than asking about cops, he's asking about cameras. And she leaves because she gets yanked away by her staff. She gave them a look like, I don't know how to answer this. Save me, save me, save me. And then it was just the interview's over. Crazy stuff.
So forgive me if I didn't hear this earlier because I was screening some calls in here and doing some other things. What event was this?
She was having some tour, some press conference, something else. He gets her afterwards. That's what this was. So Chris Daniels goes to whatever event she's at today and asks her some questions.
Okay, so that's why they were saying keep it on topic. Like the topic is this event. Is that what they're saying?
No, he was asking. So here's the thing. What I guess happened, because Como posted a longer version of this, and we just took a little piece of it. What I think happened here was there's an event, and Chris Daniels probably walked up to them and said, "Hey, can I get 4 minutes with the mayor?" Notice they kept saying 4 minutes.
Yeah,
can I get the 4
and
minutes?
be like, our 4 minutes isn't up.
Hey, look, to be fair, Katie Britt, right, the senator, right, from Nebraska, Katie Britt. She said to me one time, Ari, I can only do this. Her people said to me, she can only do an interview with you if you walk her to the car. That's all the time she has. And me and Zach said, no problem at the RNC. And I made that interview last throughout the entire walk to the car, got her in the car. That was it. Sometimes people have scheduling things. They said 4 minutes. They cut it early because that clip is only 2 minutes and 25 seconds long. Half of it is them arguing over the discussion. And what happens is he wants to talk about safety. And naturally is going to ask about the cameras. Hey, we don't know who these guys are. We can't find them. You're going to use the cameras to it. If you're talking about the shooting, which was at the building the mayor was in, that's a reasonable question. Very reasonable question. And we give Chris Daniels more grief than anybody else in town. He did everything right. He was polite. He was respectful. And he pushed back. And you heard Katie Wilson at the end there chiming in like, your job is to be a reporter. What?
Yeah, I didn't get, and she's off camera because I rolled on this piece of audio and I was watching it as best I could, but she gets off camera, then you hear multiple voices. I'm trying to figure out who's what. I will say this to her credit. He was right. She did start to answer the question and then was interrupted.
Yes.
I would pull my people aside and be like, look, don't do that.
Because it makes me look bad. And in fact, it made her look so bad that what happens is afterwards, after all this, they finally go over to Chris Daniels and say, okay, she'll give her answer now, which means they gave her the answer. Yeah. Here's what that sounded like. Give a listen.
So you already heard the question. I'll just repeat it. Yeah. You obviously went through a traumatic event on Tuesday night. I talked to a lot of people in that neighborhood who suggest that, hey, that's the reason why we need more surveillance cameras in the city of Seattle. This is an issue that you've weighed in on before. Does your perspective change at all based on what you went through Tuesday night?
Not really. I mean, I believe that CCTV cameras have an important role to play in our public safety system. And we also have to be very careful to make sure that our data storage, security, sharing practices don't make that system vulnerable to misuse and abuse, whether that's by federal immigration enforcement or by other bad actors. And so for that reason, like, that is why we are doing a data and privacy audit.
Shut up. That wasn't the answer she was giving before. And that's why they stopped her. That was not the answer she was giving before. They pulled her aside to say, Katie, here's your talking points. This is what you're supposed to say. You were off message. That's why they stopped the interview.
And I would say to them, or maybe I don't know what sort of this stuff drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Being in this industry and seeing this stuff go on. Sometimes celebrities get a bad rap, like, oh, that person is a real a-hole or whatever. It's like, no, usually it's their handlers.
Yes. Yes. I have found some of these people are very, very nice people, their handlers or whatever. Now, mind you, Katie Wilson is clearly dumb.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Right.
I don't know much at all about Katie Wilson because we don't get situations where we get to fully see her be herself.
And whenever she's on her own, she's stupid.
Yeah,
right?
nothing. She's not, as far as I can tell with what limited things I have, she's not great.
No.
But this is even worse. Like, how could you not see that if you're a handler, that this
Exactly.
makes it look like you guys have no confidence in her.
Right. You know who this reminds me of? You know what we should do? We should talk to Joe Biden's people. And we should get those cards with answers on them and the reporter's name and put them all lined up just like Joe Biden used to do. That's how we fix the Katie Wilson. You know what you can't fix, though? The fact that the Democrats just endorsed an actual neo-Nazi for Senate. When we come back, we'll tell you why they're considering the Third Reich up in Maine and in D.C. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. You guys on the text line are funny. 3 or 4 of you all said was the person who was pulling Katie Wilson away wearing a bunny suit. We need an Easter bunny for Katie. I actually made a meme about that the other day where the Easter bunny is taking... I think I should just repost the meme. We'll just repost the bunny meme. I think that'll work out fine today. Meanwhile, other insanity with the Democrat Party. So this guy, Graham Plattner, this guy is running for Senate in Maine. You had the moderate Democrat drop out of the race, so now it's just him, and every single Democrat is lining up to endorse this guy. A guy with a Nazi tattoo on his chest. You remember how ballistic they went about Pete Hegseth having the Jerusalem cross on his chest, which is not a neo-Nazi symbol. It's not a Christian nationalist symbol. It's just a Christian symbol. You know how I know that? It's on the floor of the National Cathedral, which all of you fools go to all the time. All of you people in D.C., for any political religious event like Red Mass or anything else, or funerals, you guys are always there. You're not boycotting it, saying this is Christian nationalism. It's a Christian symbol. You were just trying to play on people's ignorance about what that symbol was. And I don't see any of you getting mad about the fact that the guy has a literal Nazi tattoo on his chest. Not just that. This guy talks about how great Hamas is. This guy talks about if, God forbid, a woman is raped, he thinks it's her fault. That is who the Democrats are endorsing in this race. So now, this guy, Graham Plattner, right? This guy? He is now calling Republicans a fascist. Literally calling Republicans a fascist. The guy who's got a Nazi tattoo on his chest.
We are, without question, seeing the rise of fascism and authoritarianism in this country.
You mean because the Democrats just endorsed you? Because Nazis are taking over the Democrat Party? Yeah. Bernie Sanders endorsed this guy. You remember what Bernie Sanders said after Charlottesville?
When you have a president commenting on a march by Nazis and white supremacists who then declares, well, there are nice people on both sides. Mr. President, there are no nice Nazis.
Excuse me, point of order. Bernie, you just endorsed a Nazi. I love how the excuses they're making. Do you know what the excuses were beforehand? Watch the evolution of this. The excuses when this guy first came on the scene and the socialist types like Bernie started endorsing him, he didn't know what that symbol meant. Do you know what they changed to before this when they were trying to get the other gal out of the race? It was, he had PTSD when he came back from the military. He had PTSD. Now that all this other stuff is coming in, they're not even addressing it anymore. They're like, he's our guy. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, this is our guy. This is who we're going with. Unbelievable. The Democrat Party is gone. This is it. They're endorsing Nazis now. We know that some of the ones around here who are running for the Washington state legislature are actually aligned with terrorists, linked to terrorist organizations, and they've endorsed them. This is the new Democrat Party. There's nothing left of the old Democrat Party. That's why moderates like Adam Smith are now parroting the talking points of Kshama Sawant, because they know who the base is of the Democrat Party. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's up, man?
Hey, nothing much. You know, you brought up the story about this Seattle school superintendent that wants to ban cell phones in classrooms for kids.
Yes.
Does he even realize that if a school shooter walks into the building, shoots up a school, basically, if the kid can't get to the phone, guess what's going to happen? That kid's going to wind up dead.
Okay, Leonard, I hate to disagree with you here, but there are ways to mitigate that. For example, most schools have phones in the classrooms, actual phones that can call 911. And having the kids have the cell phone for the off chance that there's going to be a school shooter, do you know what they're going to do? They're not going to call 911. They're going to pull out their phones and start videoing themselves crying. That's what they're going to do with the cell phones. They're not going to call 911. They're going to start videoing themselves and go, content! So there are phones in the classrooms. There are panic buttons in the classrooms. There are lockdown systems in some of these schools. The better thing to do would make sure they all have the phones. They all have the panic buttons. They all have the lockdowns. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Yeah, I love the amount of people that are actually weighing in on the bunny suit. They actually want some other kind of suit. They want some other kind of suit for Katie Wilson's people. How about a giant Starbucks cup? I've seen that costume before. Let's get the person a giant Starbucks cup for Katie Wilson, wave her down, flag her down, get her out of there if it's a really, really tough interview. Up next, my friends, the Biden Department of Justice was targeting Christians. Yep, got all the evidence now, and now the Department of Justice under Trump is doing something about it. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. A new report details just how bad the anti-Christian hate was at the Biden Department of Justice. They privately mocked Christians as cultists, sought the harshest sentences possible, targeted pro-lifers, and used the Southern Poverty Law Center to identify groups and individuals. It's the same people from the Obama administration doing the same thing with the levers of power. Tell me again about the Trump administration going after their political enemies. This is literally what the Biden administration does. And Biden would always say, I'm a good Christian. I'm a Christian. I go to church. When's the last time you went to church? I don't know, but I used to go to church. According to the Department of Justice, the Task Force to Eradicate Anti-Christian Bias published a report detailing how the Biden administration's prosecution's policies and practices demonstrated anti-Christian bias throughout the federal government because they had an executive order backing them, which means the auto pen signed it. The acting attorney general serves as the chair of the task force, and the Justice Department coordinated the significant interagency effort. The 200-page report collects the detailed findings of 17 federal agencies, as well as other agencies that uncovered religious discrimination. The report examines how the Biden administration pushed its radical policy agenda, even when its actions infringed on Christian beliefs, free exercise, and matters of deep personal importance to nearly every American: life, family, marriage, self-identity, education, medical decisions, and more. Here's the kind of stuff they had. President Biden pushed policies to eliminate statutory protections for religious Americans that interfered with his policy goals. Although he failed to change federal law, under his direction, federal agencies used policy and regulatory means to accomplish the same goals. Basically, the auto pen. The Biden Justice Department aggressively opposed concerned parents through the Garland School Board memo and diligently attempted to use its enforcement authority against parents who defended their children's safety at local school board meetings. The Biden Justice Department immediately mandated the adoption of gender ideology throughout the federal government, far beyond the Supreme Court's ruling in Bostick versus Clay County. The day after Biden was sworn into office, career employees at the Justice Department urged for a reversal of the Trump Justice Department memo on Bostick that directed the department to respect its employees' right to express traditional views regarding marriage and gender identity. Yeah, get rid of all that. That's what they did right away. Career employees called the memo an affront to the dignity of our transgender employees. You mean because the Bible's not big on any of that stuff? You know, I don't care what it says in the Quran because I don't believe in that nonsense. Not my jam. So, you know what? It doesn't offend me. If you want to believe in it, fine. That's your religion. It ain't mine. It doesn't offend me that you have your religion. It only offends me when you start coming after my religion. I won't go after yours. You don't go after mine. How about we do that? Okay? Sorry for calling it nonsense. I know some people believe in it. See? That's me. There. Apology. The Biden Justice Department also considered requests for religious exemptions related to gender ideology as harmful conduct to be regulated and consistently pushed through its interpretation of the amicus briefs, although federal courts repeatedly rejected it. The Biden Justice Department advised White House and senior leadership in a phone call that federal employees' religious objections to COVID vaccines were insincere or not religious, and that trickled down through every level of government. Hey, I wonder if the Seattle firefighters know about this one for their lawsuit. I'm going to have to send this one over to them. The Civil Rights Division under President Biden sidelined Christians in favor of preferred constituencies. It published material suggesting that Christians could not be victims of religious discrimination, only other faith groups. Wow. This thing is 200 pages long. There's so much in it. I wish I had more time to read all of it. I really wish I did, because there is so much in here of how they were specifically discriminating against Christians. That's what the Biden Justice Department was doing. Over on the text line, John in Auburn says, Katie Wilson needs 2 brooms, one to sweep the businesses out with and the other one to fly out on. Dan Smith says, not a bunny suit. She should have the Black Knight from the Holy Grail. Yeah, Starbucks goes, it's just a flesh wound. Just a flesh wound. Cut off the Amazon arm. This one here from Mike. The proper costume for Wilson and her minions would be a straitjacket with 4-point restraints. Wait a minute. Mel Gibson, Riggs can get out of one of those suckers. You just dislocate the shoulder. By the way, I still don't know to this day how that gets you out of a straitjacket. I really don't know how that really works. Thank God I've never been in one. I couldn't tell you about it, but how does dislocating your shoulder get you out of it? It's just like when you break your thumb to get out of handcuffs kind of thing. It loosens it up enough. Is that what it is?
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a movie, Ari. It's a movie.
Hey, that could happen.
Harry Houdini used to get out of straitjackets, and I guess it was legit. I guess there wasn't a trick, per se, like it wasn't an altered straitjacket, but
sure,
there's some way of doing it. So
yeah,
maybe
I guess
that is.
Break your thumb, you get out of the handcuffs. I guess if you dislocate the shoulder, maybe it throws off the balance of these things enough. Or who knows?
I'll ask AI. We'll figure it out. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, you ask the AI. Is it true that Mel Gibson could could that physically happen? I'm very curious about that. Before I forget, my friends, we're having a giveaway on the KVI website. It's only on the website. You can enter to win a pair of tickets to a concert of your choice, either Lionel Richie with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Santana and the Doobie Brothers, or Toto featuring Christopher Cross and the Romantics. All part of the Summer of Live. You can get the tickets over at livenation.com. Tickets are already on sale, and they stay on sale through May 5th, so you only have a couple days left. And don't forget, you can win them right now over at KVI.com. Head on over there, give out your information, and you can do that.
Here's what Google AI says.
Yes.
While commonly portrayed in movies and rumored as a Houdini trick, you do not need to dislocate your shoulder to escape a straitjacket. It can be achieved by creating slack by expanding the chest and maneuvering arms over the head through this technique and flexibility, not injury. It's technique, flexibility.
So basically push your stomach out to get more space in the straitjacket when they're putting you into it?
I guess
Oh my God, I'm having a flashback now. Did you read the Hardy Boys books when you were a kid?
I did not.
Okay. The Hardy Boys books, and every one, they're tied up for some reason in a basement or a warehouse or whatever. And it would always say, all right, flex your muscles so that there's give in the ropes they're tied. And every single one, it was flex your muscles. That and Tom Swift. Tom Swift and the Hardy Boys, both written by F.W. Dixon or whatever his name is, who isn't a real person anymore. And it was long ago a ghostwriter. It was always flex your muscles and you can get out of those tied up ropes. Yeah, Hardy Boys. You don't have a James Bond belt that turns into a chainsaw or something like that to get you out of those. Man, the things we recall. In
I
our
was just
lives.
always worried about lava or quicksand. That was everywhere. Get out. Like quicksand.
I thought quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem in life going forward than it is now. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen lava, haven't seen quicksand, haven't seen any of that kind of stuff. Not at all. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Really just doesn't seem to be an issue. But I will say is that so many of you have so many things that they... The suggestions of who should be the mascot for Katie Wilson. Okay, guys, text me your best ideas for who should be the mascot that's going to pull away Katie Wilson from these press gaggles. I love it. Absolutely love it. Up next, this is probably the worst year of Bob Ferguson's life. We'll tell you why, because he just got hit with an ethics violation and a fine. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, more chances to win fantabulous prizes. Plus, a local theater had their copper wire stolen, and we might be able to help them out. But before we get to any of that, my friends, Bob Ferguson is having the worst week ever. Ever. So first, we start off the week where we find out that Bob Ferguson tried to get Starbucks to stay and failed. So this is an interview he did with Chris Daniels. Chris Daniels doing a great job this week.
Starbucks is an important part of the fabric of our community here in Washington State, to put it mildly.
Governor Bob Ferguson acknowledges after he had multiple personal conversations with Starbucks CEO, the company made the decision to build a new headquarters in Nashville.
We understand that any business has to do what they feel is best for them, and expanding their footprint around the country. They're not the first company to do that.
Starbucks, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, all cutting jobs in Washington State. Are you concerned about the business climate right now?
Of course.
Yet Ferguson blames AI more than a tax for recent events.
A lot of states would love to have our problems in a certain way, but everybody's feeling the impacts of AI and changes that are going on for sure.
Is that why everybody in tech is moving back to San Francisco? They're moving back to California. Things are so bad here. Back to California. Lot of spin there. Lot of spin. I think he's stuck in the spin cycle right there. That's a lot of spin. All right. Then Katie Wilson goes viral for all of these bye Starbucks, bye rich people, leave, bye, okay, bye, like, bye. That's Katie Wilson. On top of that now, he's got multiple Democrats being challenged by real contenders this time. It's filing week, by the way. Filing week starts today, so you can file to run for office. Those of you we've been talking to, you can start filling out your paperwork today. Got lots of that, and everybody's running against the tax. You've got editorial after editorial after editorial after editorial in left, right, center, you name it, newspapers across the U.S. calling out Washington's economic suicide. Then we find out this today. You ready for this? Now, this story actually came out earlier last month. Oh, right. Now we're in May. Earlier last month, this story came out and nobody noticed. Janicki Industries, an engineering and manufacturing company, has announced it is pursuing out-of-state growth because of Washington's bad policies. This line is in their official press release. Decisions at the state level not only make it difficult for our employees to achieve the American dream, but is making it difficult for us to create new jobs for future employees by investing in local growth. With this in mind, it is best for Janicki to focus its large-scale expansion into a more business-friendly environment. So we are pursuing out-of-state growth. A lot of you may not have heard of Janicki, a big manufacturing company. They're one of the largest employers in Skagit County. And for those of you that think this is only going to affect King County, these insane taxes, these insane policies, no, my friends. No. One of the largest employers in Skagit County. I got to look up who our friends are in Skagit County who have elected office and see if they have anything to say about this. We'll do some looking. We'll see which interviews we could schedule for next week. But literally saying exactly, this is the reason why we're out of here. So another big company announces they're leaving. We get the math in on Starbucks leaving. Over $750 million in tax revenue is leaving here. Thanks to Change Washington, they did the math. Over $750 million. Well, as if that wasn't bad enough. Do you remember a little scandal a while ago where there was this guy who wasn't so nice to the employees in Ferguson's office who got fired? And then Bobby Ferguson, little turd Ferguson, brought him on a trip anyway, a government trip on the official private plane, because, they're so concerned about climate change, they use the private plane all the time. Well, according to the Washington State Standard, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson has admitted to violating state ethics laws and accepted a $4,000 fine for allowing a former top advisor to travel with him on a state plane to the Tri-Cities last summer.
Turd Ferguson.
Exactly right. Should have flushed him. Under an agreement awaiting action by the state Executive Ethics Board, Ferguson would pay half the fine, with the rest suspended if he commits to no new violations for 2 years. All right, guys, we got to find these violations. You got to file every PDC complaint, every ethics complaint. You got to file anything you got on the turd, anything at all. So he has to pay that other $2,000. Ferguson and Kate Reynolds, the board's executive director, each signed the stipulated agreement earlier this week. The Executive Ethics Board will consider approving, rejecting, or modifying it during its May 8th meeting. By reaching the agreement, Ferguson avoids the board conduct of a public hearing on the and potentially imposing a fine of up to $5,000 for each violation. So basically, this is like a plea deal. This is basically, I don't want them doing no investigation. I will pay your $4,000. In accepting the settlement, Ferguson agreed that the evidence is such that the board may conclude that he violated the Ethics and Public Service Act. Ferguson could not immediately be reached for comment. Brianna Ho, his communications director, said the governor handled the matter without the use of state resources. You know why he couldn't be reached for real comment? I'll tell you why. We did that story a couple days ago from Axios that Bob Ferguson, when he doesn't want to comment, he freezes out the media and he's slowing down communications for every state agency because he's such a lunatic egomaniac that every single piece of communication goes directly through him. Now, what happened last June was Ferguson invited Mike Webb, his former chief strategy officer, to join. Webb had resigned weeks earlier amid complaints that he fomented a hostile workplace. For the flight, employees of the governor's office occupied 6 of the plane's 7 seats. Webb sat on a seat over the plane's toilet. So you want to tag along with the turd, so you sat on the toilet. Sorry.
Ferguson.
This stuff writes itself. It writes itself. Oh my God, how did I miss that when I was reading through this the first time? I missed the entire line about the toilet. Ferguson had Webb sit on the toilet for the flight to the Tri-Cities. You flew across the state while sitting in the can on Turd Ferguson's airplane. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best day ever. He may be having the worst week, but I'm having the best day. In January, the board concluded there was reasonable cause to believe the governor's actions ran afoul of Washington's ethics laws, which bar the state use of toilets. No, wait, state resources. Sorry, I can't. Bathroom humor is funny. I'm sorry, it's funny. For the private benefit of non-state employees, Reynolds concluded that the governor provided a special privilege to Webb by allowing him to travel on the Washington State Patrol aircraft toilet. Ferguson contended last year that the use of state resources, especially toilets, was de minimis in nature and not for private usage. I mean, private gain. And he asked for the matter to be flushed. I mean, dismissed. I'm sorry. I can't control it. I'm sorry. I can't. Oh, my God. The agreement obtained Thursday said the governor admits that he pooped the bed. I mean, made a mistake, and that it will not happen again. I'm sorry. Kevin's giving me that look like, how long is this going to go on for? I'm sorry, man. I can't. It's too easy.
No, he just liked to wipe the slate clean. That's all I was wanting to say.
Oh, you've been hanging out with me for far, far too long. Far too long. Okay. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to head on over to the phone line. Rob and Sidra Woolley. Rob, help me out, man. Talk about something else, because otherwise I'm going to keep making poop jokes this whole time. What's going on, Rob?
Well, for a lot of those people that don't know, and most people don't, the Janicki name goes back generations. Originally as a Janicki logging company. And, of course, all those folks that were the children of that generation, I mean, they're long since passed away. They'd be in their hundreds by now. And so the children have different industries, of course, Janicki Industries and construction companies. I used to actually work for Janicki Logging way back in the 70s for a part-time. But for anybody that, doesn't travel up Highway 20 or the North Cascades Highway heading east, would never know just how expansive Janicki Industries is. They're like a mini Boeing. I mean, they're huge.
So wait a second.
They employ thousands of people.
Right. I've got their write-up right here. The estimates are around 1,800 total employees minimum. Minimum 1,800. Right. I think it's probably way more than that, right?
Yes, it is more than that.
Yeah.
And they've been building new buildings geez, quite frequently. I mean, every time I go up the highway, it's like, holy crap, that's another, 20 acres worth of buildings. And so if they end up moving out of here, it's gonna hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Well, what it sounds like is they have expansion plans, and instead of expanding here in Washington, you talk about all these buildings going up, they're done with that. They're not expanding in Washington anymore. So that's the first step in. It's only a matter of time till they move out of here. So good job, Bob Ferguson, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, Rob, if you know anybody who's still
that turd.
Yeah, if you know anybody who's still working over at Janicki that can get somebody, I reached out to the company earlier today. I haven't heard back from them. As soon as I saw this, actually one of our listeners sent me this because this press release came out on April 15th and I saw no news about it whatsoever. So if you know somebody from the company who can actually get word that I'd love to have them on the show to talk about this, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I could find out because I actually live on Janicki Road, and the folks up the end of the Janicki Road are the married side of the family, and probably talking to one of those guys up there, I could find out a cousin or something.
Yeah, I'm real easy to get a hold of, arikvi.com. Just have them email me, all right, Ben?
I know. I got your number, man.
Indeed you do.
Take care,
Indeed.
Ari.
It's on every outhouse, stall, restroom, everything in Washington. You can find it everywhere. Appreciate the call, Rob. Appreciate the perspective. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one from the 206, Ari. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is from Chris at Federal Way. Ari, are you aware of this gun manufacturing company in Chehalis moving to Utah? Hang on. He sent me a link to this. Chris, I'm going to look this up during the break. I haven't seen this one yet, so thank you for sending it over. We get the best tips from our listeners. We really, really do. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from George in Kenmore. George, what's up? Hello,
Ari,
George.
Use the shells. Use the shells.
Use the Demolition Man seashells to get rid of the turd, to get rid of this guy Webb. I get it. That'll clean off the seat, right? Oh, very good, George. I needed that today. Oh, my God. Wait a second, George. You're going to like this one, okay? The 206 suggested this one. A new KVI segment, The Sit Down with the Governor. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. Appreciate that. Oh, George, appreciate the call, man. Sorry, what was that?
You're up there with Gutfeld on poop jokes.
Yeah, but I'm way taller than him. That guy is a tiny, tiny man. I met him at the RNC. He is one of the shortest people I have ever seen my entire life. That guy, not even tall enough to be the John Starks point guard on the 1990s New York Knicks. That is a short, short man. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Okay, John in Auburn got another good one here, okay? He says, how about a big flushing sound anytime you finish? Oh, no, wait, sorry. That's El Darthbo. El Darthbo says, how about a big flushing sound whenever you finish a Turd Ferguson segment? Okay, I think we might be... Wait, hang on. John in Auburn says we can get Roto-Rooter as a sponsor. Anytime we talk about Turd Ferguson, brought to you by Roto-Rooter, brought to you by Beacon Plumbing, or Stop Freaking, right? Like, we could just do that for Turd Ferguson. Okay, all these ideas are coming up. We'll talk to promotions after that. We'll talk to the ad guys and everything after this. This is great. Wait, hang on. We can get little poop emojis, just like the one I sent over to promotions, right? We heard from the people with the window clings. We're going to try and work that out. That'd be great with the glasses on them. Oh, this job is too much fun sometimes. It really, really is. This is just days like today are a lot of fun when you get to talk about this stuff. Okay. Now, there's other insanity going on around here. Now, remember how they said we're going to give you free parking lots so you can take the light rail wherever you want? Remember they said that? Here's your free parking rides. Just put your car here. Yeah, they're going to start charging for the one at Northgate and Shoreline starting today. Now they're charging for those lots. Wait a second. That's where I park for the movies, man. I park in the park and ride. When I go, wait, you mean I can't, now I have to go to the garage? I don't like the garage. The garage is a little bit more work for me. I like that outdoor thing. Yeah, you hope nobody breaks into your car from the homeless, whatever they are, vagrants wandering around over there. But now I'm going to have to pay for this sucker? I'm not getting no monthly pass so I can go to the movies. Forget that noise. But yes, Washington, Sound Transit. that said, we want to make it easy for you to have transportation. Nope, no, my friends, they're not going to do that. Instead, they're just going to say, yeah, here's what we're going to do instead. You're going to have to pay for this. Pay for this. And meanwhile, everybody around here says we should start unionizing, and this was the craziest one I saw. Okay, Wizards of the Coast. Do you know who they are? They make Magic the Gathering. They have stores, like the comic book stores, the Wizards of the Coast. Kevin, you know who these guys are, right? Apparently, business ain't doing too well in the comic book world, comic store world, right? So now they want to unionize for better pay. So the guys at the comic book shops now want to unionize for better pay.
Are you talking about Wizards of the Coast?
Yes, Wizards of the Coast.
Not just a comic book shop.
I know.
Didn't they create the
Magic, the
Gathering? Gathering. They did a bunch of stuff. But honestly, I didn't even know they had stores left or anything.
Well, no, so forget that for a second. It's the employees who make the magic.
Oh, okay.
And
here we go.
Them plus the people in the stores want to be part of this union too. Because it's like a dying industry, so they figure if they all get in on the one, like for example, all the Starbucks employees have the Starbucks union if they want to be part of it. It's not technically part of Starbucks, right? So now, if you're comic affiliated.
Get it. They're gathering together. They're saying, who amongst our people could we get comic book?
They are Magic the Gathering.
They are gathering. Yes. Okay, so
yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Nerds of the world unite.
Because they used to have Wizards of the Coast
the stores, right.
But I don't think they exist anymore.
There might be a couple left because it sounds like the stores get to unionize together with the main guys, and they're all going to. How'd that work out for Starbucks? Didn't they just close 5 of those stores because they were unionizing? Yeah. So I don't think this is the good move you guys think it is. I really don't. I don't think this is going to pay off the way you guys think it's going to pay off. I think what's just going to happen is, you know what they're going to say? Kevin, if any of those stores are left, you know what they're just going to say? Bye, Katie Wilson style. Bye. That's it. They're gone. They're done. They're just saying, we are getting out of here. Now, we know all this is to bring in tax money, to bring in revenue, right? The millionaires tax, everything else. Yeah, you know how they started closing the parks and saying we don't have the money to run the parks because it's going to be $4 million and that's just money we don't have? And I said this was intentional. I said what they were going to do is pick the items they think people will complain about the most, so that way they'll be willing to vote for taxes or whatever it is coming back, or they'll be able to have talking points. They're going to close the parks on us. Would you like to know what they're spending the money on instead? Washington has launched an $112 million program to get businesses to switch to electric vehicles. I kid you not. I kid you not. Today, I'm not going to say which government agency, but a government agency was nearby my house. And I got to talking. The guy saw me pull up in my new Dodge Charger, which my friends at Renton CDJR lent to me. And he goes, that car is beautiful. What is it? And I said, well, that was supposed to be an electric car. But now the new Charger has this inline 6. He goes, that's a beautiful car. I love that beautiful car. Yeah, I'm glad they're getting rid of those electric ones. He was talking about this. But the funny thing about it was, he said, yeah, they have the electric cars at work, but I don't like using them, so I use this one instead in the vehicle from the agency I shall not mention that he's driving around. But we got into a whole discussion about this stuff. And what I find funny about this is Washington is using $112 million of your tax dollars to incentivize people buying electric cars and trucks. Why can't businesses buy whatever they want to buy? Why do you have to incentivize that? You are wasting $112 million. Look, I happen to like the electric cars. I think the electric cars I got from my friends at Renton, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, are some of the best cars I've ever driven. Really, they're a lot of fun. They're really fast. They're really amazing. But I'll tell you this, is that the government shouldn't have to incentivize me to do that. They should compete in the free market just like anybody else. And I think that actually they're great commuter cars. I think they're great for a lot of things. I mean, their torque is insane. They can pull anything. But why is the government subsidizing this? Especially for businesses. Wait, I thought businesses were the bad guys. Now you're incentivizing them to go green? You're spending $112 million, but you're keeping the parks closed? So the actual green, you're keeping closed so you can incentivize businesses to buy electric cars. And we know the carbon emissions, it doesn't even help at all. But that's what you're doing? That's what you're spending our money on? So the next time they say they don't have any money for Medicare or Medicaid or schools or parks or whatever, you say, you incentivize electric cars with $112 million. Why are you doing that? Up next, my friends, lots more to discuss, including crazy, crazy violence in 2 local schools. We'll tell you all the latest details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I think I'm looking forward to summer so much that I'm actually excited for us to switch intros over to our Alice Cooper version of Miseducation. It's going to be hot this weekend. What is it, 80 degrees this weekend or something in May? Anyway, last night I drove down to Vancouver, Washington. I had an event down there for John Braun, who's running for office, but also me and Guy Benson were down there, Guy Benson from Fox News. And we were having a sit down. We were talking about politics. It was great. And while I was down there, I had never been to Vancouver, Washington's waterfront before. It was absolutely gorgeous. You know what one of the best parts of the event was? A whole bunch of Turning Point USA kids came. A whole bunch of kids came on a weeknight just to talk about politics. I mean, there were hundreds of people in this room, which was great. But there was a table or two of the Turning Point USA kids. It was great to see them there. After I checked my phone when I came out of the event, because when I'm at an event, you got my attention. After I checked my phone when I came out, I was looking at it, and I saw this terrible story about this stabbing at a school in Pierce County. So according to Como News, Pierce County prosecutors filed charges Friday morning against a teen accused of stabbing 4 people, including a security guard at Foss High School in Tacoma a day earlier. Walid Ahmad Asiki. Okay, we're gonna do some Googling of said individual, and we'll reach out to some sources and see if this person's here legally or not. Faces 4 counts of first-degree assault, according to charging papers filed in Pierce County Superior Court. They note that Asiki is a student at the school. According to the report, the most critically wounded victim had stab wounds to his chest and side and remains in the ICU. Another victim has stab wounds to their back. Other victims had cuts and lacerations to their bodies. This apparently happened during afternoon classes on Thursday. The security guard said he heard a call for help when he ran to the hallway in the school where staff were trying to break up a group of students who were fighting. The guard was cut while disarming Asiki during the scuffle. Detectives interviewed the victims who said Asiki had stolen a vape pen the day before, leading to the confrontation at school on Thursday. Police recovered surveillance video of the fight. What's your first question you have here? Why'd the kid have a knife in school? Why'd the kid have a knife in school? Because apparently the kids confronted him that he had allegedly stolen the vape pen. And that's when he allegedly pulled out the knife and started stabbing everybody. Why don't you have metal detectors in the schools? Why does a kid have a knife that could do that kind of serious damage in the school? This isn't a Swiss Army knife. A Swiss Army knife doesn't do this kind of damage. So, police said 4 juvenile victims who were stabbed confronted Asiki in the hallway and forced a semicircle around him. The video shows Asiki slapping his own face, bouncing back and forth toward the victim, as if trying to get the victim to strike first. At this time, Asiki's stance is bladed, and he appears to reach in his pocket. His right side appears to withdraw and manipulate an object. At the same time, Asiki is using his left hand to slap his face, possibly to divert their attention. Detectives said Asiki had the knife in his hand when the 4 boys began to wildly punch Asiki as he swung the knife at them. The boys pulled Asiki into the wall, knocked him to the ground. Tacoma police responded to the school as it was put in lockdown. The victims were Asiki were all taken to the hospital. He's expected to make his first appearance in court this afternoon. Under Washington law, youth who are 16 or 17 charged with a serious violent offense, which includes first-degree assault, are automatically referred to the adult court system. They're automatically referred to the adult court system. So this is something where this kid's not going to get out with juvie. Not going to happen with the juvie. So that's actually the good thing. But will some judge just release him and say, oh, he's just a wayward youth, a wayward youth who stabbed 5 people, some wayward youth. Now, there's another thing that's reported from the Seattle Police Department scanner. This is from the Twitter account PD Scanner Chatter. On 6770 East Marginal Way, a teacher was stabbed by a student today. Suspect was tased and taken into custody. Now, this is right near the Finishing Trades Institute Northwest, and we actually have some media outlets are now reporting that a woman was the one who was stabbed near South Seattle College. Her condition is not known, but a man in his 20s was taken into custody. What is going on in our institutions? Does that sound like homeless violence, or does that sound like something else? Why shouldn't we have metal detectors in the schools? Oh, seriously. Do you think that insults anybody? When was the last time you went to a sporting event? Did you get mad that all of a sudden there at the sporting event you were getting wanded? That you were getting checked for weapons? Did you get mad when you get on an airplane? I mean, it's inconvenience and all. You go to sporting events. You go to any big event these days, and they have security measures. Why don't we have them at the schools? Why don't we have them?
Last time, or one of the times I went to the M's game with my dad.
Yeah.
We got up there to the, put your keys in this, that, and the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned to my dad and I was like, you don't have anything on you, right? And, just out of curiosity. He's like, no, nothing, just a pocket knife. I said, what? He goes, yeah, I love old timers.
Yeah, because they always have the pocket knife on.
They always got the pocket knife.
Yep.
And I said, you can't take that in here. It's just a pocket knife. I'm like, oh my, we had to go back out to the car, put the pocket knife in the car.
Yes. Yeah. It happens. It happens.
I just got a samurai sword. No big deal.
No problem.
No big deal.
So actually, a friend of mine, when we were in a gap year in Israel. This was 1999, so this is before 9/11. We're coming back, so it's the early 2000s. So we're coming back in May of 2000, and my friend for Jewish Halloween had dressed up as Mel Gibson in Braveheart. We didn't know he was an anti-Semite yet. He bought the giant sword at a shop in Israel. He bought that giant sword that dude has. I mean, this costume was legit. He went all out for it. And he's like, well, how the hell am I going to get this back? And I'm like, I don't know. Check it, ship it. Don't bring it on the plane. My friend has a brilliant idea. Here was his brilliant idea. He had a guitar case, and he goes, I'm going to disassemble the handle. I'm going to take the handle off. I'll check that because it didn't fit in his luggage. And I'll just put the blade in the guitar case. So when it beeps, they'll just take out the guitar and be like, okay, no problem. It'll go through. I'm like, dude, you're talking about like Israeli security here. And they don't mess around with this. So what happens? Goes through security. It beeps. They take the guitar out. And this is before all the stuff they have now, right? But the bag's still really heavy. And they pull out the giant blade. And they go, what is this? He goes, look, I'm not going to take over the plane with it. This is before 9/11, mind you. I'm not going to take over the plane with it. It's got no handle. It's got no nothing. And he goes, it was for my costume. They made him open up his bag, pull out pictures he had of the costume to prove it because they didn't believe him. And then they wrapped it in cardboard and tape and stuck it under the airplane. He had to check what was left of the sword. And he goes, hey, free checking on the sword. But yeah.
That's a big sword, too, in that movie.
It's a huge
Massive.
sword. It's a huge sword. We spent the whole day looking for a shop that sold swords so you could have the authentic costume. But yes, that's crazy stuff. Anyway, speaking of this insanity, got this one right here. We have the University of Oregon. University of Washington wasn't the only one that had violence on campus and threats on campus. An event at University of Oregon featuring former Miss Israel Noah Kochva was shut down last week after anti-Israel protesters blocked access to the reserved outdoor venue and allegedly issued death threats towards Jewish students. There's video of this. According to the Jewish News Syndicate, Kochva, who served as a combat medic in the Israeli Defense Forces, have been scheduled to speak at Chapman Lawn in Eugene, an event hosted by the Oregon Hillel. They said the program was designed for all students to engage in one-on-one. It was one of those Charlie Kirk type events. Ultimately, she couldn't appear on campus because of safety concerns. Campus police monitored the protest, escorted the Jewish organizers safely away from the area, and the event was moved off campus. Now, this is right after a similar event had to be canceled at University of Washington because that was right after these lunatic activists targeted an event in downtown Seattle. And still, no word from Bob Ferguson, no word from Katie Wilson, no word from Erica Evans, the city attorney, no word from Lisa Mannion, no charges against the people who were arrested, including the ones who were assaulting police officers. It's been 2 weeks, no charges. Activists run the city. You think anybody's going to be arrested at the May Day protest today? Even if they start smashing in Starbucks? Oh, wait, there's not that many Starbucks around here. Good luck finding a Starbucks, guys. Not as many around here as there used to be. Up next, my friends, was somebody targeted with a state audit because they came on my show and we're talking about Bob Ferguson's income tax? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. There's a reason we call our show the most dangerous show on the airwaves, because apparently after you come on our show and after you're featured in a couple of op-eds and a few other shows, guess what happens? All of a sudden you start getting audited. Joining us now to discuss how the government is coming after him because they're mad about what he said, Zach Abraham from Bulwark Capital and Know Your Risk Radio. Thanks so much for being with us today, buddy.
I wish it was under different circumstances.
So hang on, let's start with this. Okay, so you do the media circuit in response to the income tax here in Washington. You went on my show, you went on Brandy's show, you got featured in an op-ed for the New York Post that I wrote, and then all of a sudden you find out you're getting audited?
Yeah, so we've had some correspondence with them since then, and it really hasn't made anything. And look, I'm not one of those guys that sees that and immediately goes, "Oh, you're being targeted," right? And the reason why is when I saw it, my reaction to it was different than what I thought, because I sat there and I thought, if this is what it looks like, that's kind of scary, right? Like, not I fear no man. I'm not saying that. I fear God. I don't fear man. But if your government, if your neighbors, so literally, I could kind of feel my perspective being a lot different than what I would have thought. I immediately thought, you know what? I hope there's an explanation for this. So we got in touch with them. So for anyway, I digress. So we got home from spring break. I opened this letter from the state, certified mail, and it's saying, because you haven't responded to the documents that we've requested, we're commencing with the audit. So I'm like, what? So send it off to our CPA, start talking to get in touch with the state. And they said that 3 weeks prior, they had sent us other certified mail. Well, we never got it. And it's kind of a feature of certified mail, right? Like
Yeah.
it's I've never not gotten certified mail before. The other thing is, we have people opening our mail at the office, and it's part of their job. They've never dropped mail. It didn't come to the house. The other letters came to the house. And so the other thing is if you looked at their dates, there wasn't enough time to even respond to it. So it kind of came out of nowhere. It coincided with the start of this whole, like you said, media blitz thing. And I've owned a business in the state for 11 years, paid a lot in taxes. I've never been audited, so I was due, I guess you could say. Just, I mean, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to look around and go, boy, that's kind of some conspicuous timing there, you know?
Well, actually, I got a way you might be able to find this out. And here's an idea for you. Years ago, Jay Inslee and Trudy Inslee told everybody to stay home and stay healthy for Thanksgiving. You might remember that
Little bit.
fireside video. So I sent in a request for Inslee's security detail to get their schedule for Inslee's office to get his schedule for Thanksgiving. They wouldn't release it for security reasons. So I asked for his security detail schedule, which they wouldn't release for security reasons. And then I said, I just want his security team's expenses for these dates. And wouldn't you know, they rented skis that weekend. So I think that actually what you might want to do very, very quickly is file a public disclosure request and ask for all expenses related to certified mail going to you for the dates in question. Just the expenses. And if there is no expense for the certified mail for the date they claim they sent it to you, it never happened.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take that piece of advice and hand that off to my lawyer as soon as we get off the phone here. But no, but like like we were talking about, it's something that I hope is not the case. I hope there's an honest explanation for it. So far, what we've gotten back from the state, they also said they called our office and they were hung up on. So I don't understand how that. I mean, that's not a very good way to run a business. We don't typically hang up on our clients or hang up on anybody that calls. The other thing is, if we're not in the office, we have a service that answers our phones 24 hours a day, so we can see a call log, right, of every call that came in. Nothing from the state of Washington. So it's really hard to make heads or tails of it, and nothing they say is adding up to make me feel any better. So I'm gonna have to take your advice and try to dig into it myself and see if there's a trail of crumbs.
So I'll tell you this, is that regarding all this, I think, or I'm guessing if you think that this is because you said you're going to possibly move your company out of state, and they go, well, let's get in our last licks against this guy in case we don't get to tax him anymore. That might be something they're doing. There's so many things it could be, or it could be, hey, yeah, just caught up with you. But the other stuff leading up to this doesn't make a lot of sense. In terms of speaking about the income tax and what it's going to do, have you received any other blowback from clients, from anybody else, or everybody's basically on the same page with you?
The vast majority. I mean, you get the hate messages on social media, and I've made the mistake of trying to thoughtfully engage with some of those people, and that doesn't really work. One of my favorite catchphrases with those folks is hey guys, I'm not saying that you should do this, but you can hate Donald Trump and recognize the illegality of this tax at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Both things can exist in your brain simultaneously, and it really doesn't make any sense. It's like putting a gun to your head and telling Trump, "I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you," and it's just obviously, like you and I know, it's completely illogical. The feeling that I got from it though was that I've paid my taxes dutifully, so my attitude is go ahead and audit me. And people go, "It's a real pain," and I'm like, "Well, my CPA handles it. It's not gonna cost me any sleep." But what is concerning to me, and honestly, I would probably dismiss it as pure coincidence if we hadn't seen the things we've seen. I sat there and watched a press conference the other day of our AG Nick Brown telling me that I didn't read what I read, like referencing what's in his email. No, you don't understand. And I go, Nick, I'm not telling you my interpretation of what you said. I'm telling you what you said,
Yeah.
right? Which is just to prevent, I can't remember the exact language, but he referenced so the voters can't vote on it, something to that effect. And then he's sitting there saying that he didn't. If I didn't see Bob Ferguson swear up and down that he wasn't going to raise taxes and go so far as pass an amendment to, or not an amendment, but a bill 2 years ago saying that they wouldn't. What was that? It wasn't a bill. What technically did they pass 2 years ago?
Which one? The capital
Say,
gains, the estate? Which one are we talking
no,
about here?
saying they wouldn't pass an
Oh,
income
you're
tax.
saying the initiative. They passed the one saying they wouldn't do the income tax. That's what
Right.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So had I not seen so many examples of, at the very least, incredibly cynical politics and strategies, I wouldn't give this another thought. But when I see an administration that has absolutely zero problem, bold face lying to the public, which, if you think about that, is an insult in its own, right? The guy's clearly not an honest person or cares about being honest. And then simultaneously is slapping the public across the face and saying, I think you're too stupid to figure it out. Had I not seen these things, I probably would dismiss it as pure coincidence. But like I said, man, the timing of it all is pretty conspicuous and kind of gives you that kind of a little chill up your spine.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. In the last few minutes we have with Zach Abraham, you mentioned you were going to be possibly moving your business out of state, but we'll see what happens with the fight against the income tax and the Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. And this actually reminds me of what just happened in New York with Zoran Mamdani. He makes this whole video about tax day in front of somebody who's investing a lot of money, who's paid a lot of money in taxes in New York City. And the person goes, nice project we have there. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it because you're an idiot. And so this kind of stuff, I'm just kind of wondering, you are in it for the fight right now. But there's a lot of other people who aren't, who will see what happens to you, who will see what happens across the state, who sees what's happening, how Nick Brown is lying, and there are these emails that prove that he colluded to make this income tax happen and circumvent the voters like you were referencing. What advice would you give to them right now?
I'm a big believer of, if you've been put in a place where you can do something, I think you're obligated to do something. And the advice I would give is silence and passivity is how you got here. And I think you owe it to the people. If you love this state like I do, it's home. I was born and raised here. Like I've said, my wife was Miss Washington. We're as Washington as you can get. And I think you owe her a fight. You owe the people here a fight. And if that makes you a target, then good. Like that's your responsibility. I've been blessed beyond my wildest dreams, and part of it has come from being in this state and the people of this state, and I'm incredibly thankful. And I just think if you've been blessed enough and lucky enough to be in that position, you owe it to your neighbors and your family and your employees to stand up and say something and do something. And our full intentions, the people that are sitting there saying, They don't want to leave. They're right. What they're wrong about is that if we will or won't.
Right.
Because if it stands, I will not pay an illegal tax to fund things that hurt the people I love. Not going to do it. And it's just that simple.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Zach Abraham from Bulwark Capital and Know Your Risk Radio. Thank you so much for joining us today, buddy. And good luck with this insane audit. Seems like they just go after whatever they can go after. I'm sorry you're going through all this, man.
Hey, it's honestly no sweat. I think it's a little amusing, but yeah, not going to stop me.
We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Longtime listeners of the Ari Hoffman Show know that I am just a frustrated theater kid, and theater has a special place in my heart. However, here in Seattle, we have so many wonderful opportunities to go to theater, but one of our local theaters got burglarized. Somebody stole a whole bunch of their copper wire, and now they're having real problems, and they're trying to raise some funds to offset the losses. Joining us now from the Taproot Theater, Karen Lund, who's their artistic director. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
I wish it was under better circumstances because we do theater reviews on the show. We do movie reviews on the show. And I would really love to come to your upcoming performance of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. But unfortunately, we're talking about this instead. So what happened? You came in one morning and nothing was working?
Well, it was interesting. We were running a production of Ain't Misbehavin', and it was going really well. You know, the theater was full and people were enjoying the show, but we were noticing that at the end of the evening, it was a little warmer in the theater than it usually is at the end of an evening. And, you know, with a full house and theatrical lighting, which is warmer than your normal household lighting, it's not unusual for it to get warmer, but it was significantly warmer. So we called out the HVAC people. They came and took a look around. They checked, you know, the blowers, they checked the vents, they checked all the normal things, the thermostats. and they couldn't find anything wrong. And so we kept going and we noticed it again. And finally, one of our employees got the idea, I'm going to go up on the roof and see if there's anything wrong with the actual units. And so he climbed up there, and lo and behold, two of our three air conditioning units had been torn apart, and the copper wiring had been stolen out of them. And my understanding is it's probably less than $100 worth of copper wiring that was stolen. But the long-term effects for us is it's hundreds of thousands worth of damage that we have to deal with. Now, we have a stopgap in place that's going to help us while the weather is still cool outside. And what we did is the third unit that wasn't destroyed, we rerouted that to the theater. And then we bought some portable air conditioners, and those are helping us keep the theater cool. And I think that's going to work really well through the spring, through our next show, Barefoot in the Park. But here's the problem. In the summer months, starting the end of June into July, when it's really hot out there, if we only have that one air conditioner, we're not sure it's going to be able to keep up with our summer activities, which include all day acting camps in the building, all day, every day. And then Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat playing at night. So we're talking about, 16 hours, 18 hours of service for one air conditioner. And we just don't think it's going to be able to sustain that. And so we have to really think about what's going to happen to Taproot. And we bring over 1,000 people a week into the Greenwood community. And what we've found is that what affects us actually affects all the other businesses around us. You can imagine, you drop your kids off at class and then you go and get a coffee, or you stay and have lunch and then pick them up after. So, or you go shopping at one of the markets. And if you don't have that, if we don't have our stuff going, then the restaurants and the other supermarkets, they miss out as well. And so we really have to get this settled because it affects all of Greenwood.
This is such a shame. My producer was actually telling me that him and his wife have season's tickets to your theater, and he was thrilled that we were having you on to talk about this because
They
he got
sound
your
like
emails.
really intelligent people.
Yeah, that's exactly exactly
With
right.
good taste, with really good taste.
Yes, very good taste. I mean, you're doing Neil Simon plays.
Yes.
This is I was in Rumors myself. So, yes, we can go way back then and have all the discussions about this. Yes, there are pictures online. Actually, the funniest play I was ever in, sorry to just, you can tell this one to your theater buddies for a second. I was in Sound of Music, and I was Kurt, who's incorrigible, but it was done in Hebrew at a Jewish school. So there I am singing all the stuff in Hebrew. So you have Nazis and nuns singing Hebrew, and the Nazis are wearing these things on their heads because it's a Jewish school, which is ludicrous, but it was funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so getting back to this thing, and I should post those pictures online so everybody can make fun of me. So yes, and the lederhosen and the whole shebang and the sailor suits and all that, it all exists somewhere. So you're talking about $100 worth of copper wiring, maybe $100.
Maybe.
And now tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage were done to get at that copper wiring. So you guys have to now raise this money. If people want to help you out, how can they help you out?
Well, we're calling it the Together with Taproot campaign. And I think the quickest and easiest way is to go online to taproottheater.org. And very quickly, you can see a donate page and a way to donate there. There is a QR code that you can use and donate pretty quickly, or you could use your credit card, however you're able to do it. And we just, listen, a lot of little gifts can make a big, huge difference. Many hands make light work, as they say. And so any little bit you can help us with, we would really appreciate it, because what we're doing right now is we're running up against a timeline. So we have the insurance adjusters are finally here on site today. So we'll get to know if they're going to be able to help us at all. There's some concern as to whether or not they'll be able to because of the type of damage it is.
Right.
Because it is a vandalism, theft, and not, an act of God, so to speak, wind or hail or earthquake. It's whether or not they're going to be able to help us. And if they do help us, how much will they be able to help us? We have a pretty large deductible, so we're going to need some support. And then once it's all done, it's getting it through the city and making sure everything is signed off on and approved so that we can reopen in time for our summer programming, which, like I said, is a ton of summer programming, which will affect a lot of families. There's the entertainment part of it, but then there's also the education part of it, and families counting on us to be with their kids all day during the day.
I'll also say this, guys, is that I wouldn't have the job I do today without my theater experience. I know a lot of you out there are the same kind of way. It was a way for you to express yourselves. It was a way for you to get involved in something. Even if you had a full-time job, I knew people who were doing theater stuff. So I'll say is that this was good stuff for kids. They have an amazing season coming up. If you want to help them out, pick up some tickets to all the shows they have going. You can find it over at their website. But also, help them out by donating to this, because this is an opportunity to help a local business that was succeeding fine on its own until Seattle problems became their problems. And it'd be really, really good if people can help them out. So head on over to the Taproot Theater's website, give them a donation, and help them out. Karen Lund, really appreciate you joining us today. Best of luck with the season. I hope the camps and everything work out. And please stay in touch, because we would love to help you guys out any possible ways that we can.
I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, for sure. It's my honor. It's the least we could do. I love helping local theater stuff. Now, if you guys talk about bringing the Die Hard musical over to your place, then we got something to talk about, because that's one of the most ridiculous shows I've ever seen in my life. Karen Lund, Artistic Director for the Taproot Theater, thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Ari.
We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, give us a call or a text on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour by popular request, Lars will be unleashed as him and I debate charging Comey for his seashells designs. But before we get to any of that, my friends, you heard at the top of the hour from KVI News that this may be the end of Spirit Airlines. I flew Spirit Airlines one time, and it was miserable. One of the worst airplane experiences I have ever had, and I fly a lot. I go a lot of places. So what happens? My son was graduating from 8th grade, and he asked me if he could do a trip, like a little graduation trip. Can we go down to L.A.? And I said, sure, let's go hang out with some friends, go to Universal Studios, maybe go to Disneyland, go do something like that. We'll go for a couple days, grab some kosher food. It'll be great. We'll go and have a good time. Well, I said, you know what? I wonder if Spirit is as bad as everybody says. They got these really cheap tickets. Maybe I'll get some tickets to Spirit Airlines and we'll go. Okay, let's see how bad it is. This was more of a social experience. Okay, so they get you with the low price, but everything, they nickel and dime you for everything. Oh, you want a seatbelt? That'll be $50. Oh, you want to check luggage? Anything. They nickel and dime you up the wazoo. Then you get on the plane. So you're on the plane and you're sitting there, and you know how you normally have a little pocket in front of you? It doesn't hold much. We didn't have a pocket. We had bungee cords. 2 crisscross bungee cords. And I'm thinking to myself, is this, did something break and this is the replacement? No, that's the whole plane. The whole plane, instead of that pocket, they got bungee cords. Then they come through the aisle with the complimentary beverages. Oh, wait, they're not complimentary. They nickel and dime you for that. I joked to my son, I said, are they going to charge me every time I go to the bathroom on this airline? Now, this was a short flight. I was just going down to Los Angeles. It was the worst plane experience I ever had. Really, one of the absolute worst. And I said, I'm never flying that airline again, and I never have. Talk about bailing out Spirit Airlines. Why? You know what normally happens in this situation? What normally happens if an asset is worth keeping or a company is worth buying, some company will come along like Alaska, Delta, American, anybody else, and say, hey, we'll buy your little airline. We'll just merge it on into our airline. No problem. Haven't heard anything about anybody taking this airline. I don't think they want to deal with it, but also, as soon as they go away, they get more customers. If that airline actually shuts down tonight, 900 flights, those people are going to be looking for other flights, and you get to charge them full freight because they're going to be stuck today. You get to do that today. So the question is President Trump going to bail out Spirit Airlines? As he was heading down to Florida today, he did a press gaggle outside of Marine One. Here's what he said.
Well, I guess we're looking at it. If we could do it, we'd do it, but only if it's a good deal.
Claiming that they're preparing to shut down this weekend because they haven't gotten a
well,
deal.
We're looking at it, but if we can't make a good deal, no institution's been able to do it. I said, I'd like to save the jobs, but we'll have an announcement sometime today. We gave them a final proposal.
So that's interesting. I don't think we should be saving Spirit Airlines. I know you want to save the jobs. I get it. It sucks that people are losing their jobs. It 100% does. But it's not the government's job to bail out Spirit Airlines. It's just not. Somebody else will pick up the assets. Somebody else will pick up the employees. It'll be okay. It'll suck for the short term. It'll be okay. I really don't like this idea of bailing out Spirit Airlines.
We come first. Hey, you know what it is? USA first, America first. That's my point. Including with airlines, including with Intel. You know, we made an Intel deal. You know that, right? We made about $40 billion on that. And someday Fox and Peter is going to talk about it. But we helped out Intel, and we ended up making $40 billion. So we're looking at Spirit, different kind of a thing. But we're looking at Spirit, and we can help them, we will. But we have to come first. We're first. It's America first.
I get thrifty airlines. I understand thrifty airlines. I remember when JetBlue was seen as the cost-effective option. It didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel like you were being nickel and dimed for anything. And I flew JetBlue. As long as they had that 99 each way, Seattle to New York, I flew that for years. I think 5 or 6 years. That was my go-to flight when they had that. I had no problem with that whatsoever. Plus, they were also one of the first ones to have armed cockpit doors. So, yeah, more than happy to do it. I didn't feel nickel and dimed. I love JetBlue Airlines. But now you look at something like Spirit, Should we be saving this? Let me know what you think. Do you think we should save Spirit Airlines? I'm in the hard no column. Really, really am. Somebody will buy the planes. Somebody else will hire the employees. I actually think it'll be okay. What do you think? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Over on the text line from Mark. Way to go, Ari. So glad you're helping out Taproot Theater. Mark in Southern Utah. Mark, are you giving them a donation? You live in Utah, formerly of Magnolia and Gig Harbor. This one here from Susan. Did they identify the Taproot criminals? I don't think they have yet. But yeah, stealing $100 maybe worth of copper wiring and causing $100,000 worth of damage. If you can help them out, please do. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from James in Tacoma. James, what's going on, man?
Yeah, last hour you were talking about somebody about switchblades to Mariners games. I do security for the Mariners and Seahawks, and last homestand at my gate, a lady showed up and a metal detector went off, and she's like, "Oh, that's just a metal for my bra straps." I'm like, "No, I don't think so." And men can't touch the female, so I got a female security guard to pat her down. Found 2 flasks in her bra. And I'm like, I said, "Ma'am, have you heard of plastic flasks?" They sell plastic in Washington. She was so embarrassed.
Oh, that's funny. Did you let her bring them in or not? No alcohol in the stadium, right?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
No, and then real quick, 2 years ago, Seahawks game, a guy showed up with a loaded gun in a baby stroller, and he said because he has a concealed weapons permit that he should have the right to carry the gun in the stadium. I'm like, no, only the King County Sheriff working the game can have a loaded gun. I got a permit, though. Look at my permit.
Wait a second. Hang on a second. James, what's the craziest thing you found working security at the stadiums or anywhere else for that matter?
It has to be the loaded gun in the baby store.
So I remember when I was a kid, they took us on a field trip to a courthouse, right? And courthouses are boring. There's not much to see there, but somebody knew how to entertain the kids. So they brought out a guy who had your job, and he brings this bin with him. And he brings up to us kids. We're all sitting in the jury box in this courtroom, this old style courtroom. We're all sitting in the jury box. And he comes over and he goes, "Kids, these are the things we have found at security." And he's going through them, a gun, a knife, and this and that. And then he pulls out, I kid you not, it looks like Thor's axe from Endgame. This giant just axe. And he goes, "Yeah, I don't know what this guy was thinking he was going to sneak this past us, but he wanted to kill a judge. And he was going to do it with an axe, like a giant medieval axe." That's what it was. Crazy stuff. Appreciate the story, James. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We're in our final hour free-for-all. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text. A lot of you are weighing in on the Spirit Airlines thing here. From Mike, Spirit Airlines, Ryanair, I know who they are. I've never flown them. Is also pretty bad, he says.
I think it is Ryanair.
It is Ryanair, isn't it?
I think that's how
what I
I've
thought.
heard it
Yeah.
pronounced.
Well, I've never flown it. Not gonna be around much longer. I'll tell you that.
The worst I ever flew when I was younger, we used to take Southwest down to Vegas, and this is way back, like probably like 99, 98, somewhere around there, right? And it was fine.
So this is the thing. People crap on Southwest Airlines all the time. I've never had a problem with Southwest. I don't fly them a lot. Sometimes I go to places where it's just you can get a little bit of a cheaper flight or it's a little bit more convenient, but I never have a problem with Southwest Airlines. I think I've flown them like 4 or 5 times. That's it.
Yeah, I can't speak to it because it's been a long time because I think most of the flights they offered to Vegas, if they do anymore, they just don't make sense for me anymore when I go down there, so I never fly them. But I even hear like they're like, I don't know, they're like the Cadillac of airlines.
The Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, compared to Spirit and some of these other ones.
Spirit was a nightmare. It was the worst flight of my life. And I've been sick on flights. I've had kids with like diarrhea on flights. And Spirit Airlines, just because of the passenger experience, the worst airline. It was terrible.
Every person I've talked to who has flown it has said that. Every person.
It's awful.
So I've never flown it because I'm like, I've been tempted. Man, there's been some cheap flights, and I'm like,
it's not cheap.
Oh, I could deal with this. And then I'm like,
it's not cheap. They nickel and dime you so bad, it comes out more expensive sometimes. In fact, here over on the text line, so back to what Mike was saying, Ryanair is also pretty bad. They were contemplating charging people to use the bathroom. Imagine a plane load of Irish people, he says, with a long flight and no bathroom. They're also charging people $20 to print a boarding pass at the airport. Yeah, that's crazy. This one here from the 206. I say no to bailing out the airline. There's no reason for our government to bail out a company. It's all the more reason to slap antitrust laws on larger businesses so we can keep competition up. This one here, it says, my grandmother got caught smuggling her chihuahua onto a plane in her cleavage. That's a little brighter. And she told the flight attendant it was perspiration. You guys are great. You guys crack me up. Yeah, I really don't think we should be bailing out Spirit Airlines. I really, really don't. I mean, why this airline? Why not other businesses? There's plenty of businesses that close. Why Spirit Airlines? Why just because it's bigger? We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Transit Joe, who probably has some thoughts on the airplanes. Transit Joe, should we bail out Spirit or not?
No, we shouldn't. I don't think it's the role of the government to be bailing out businesses that make bad business decisions instead of just copy the Ryanair model. Although I have to say, I prefer Alaska Airlines any day of the week. They've got the nicest seats, the kindest flight attendants, and their flight attendants are just as hot as Southwest Airlines sometimes. So, it's
Okay, Joe. Okay. But I'll tell you this, is that I usually fly Alaska. Alaska's my go-to airlines, and they threw me off a plane one time. I still like Alaska Airlines. I don't blame them for one crazy flight crew person. But I like Alaska, and I like Delta. Anybody else these days? I mean, it's just not looking great in the airline industry. It's really, really not. I mean, some of the foreign airlines do a good job, like the Emirates and those guys, and El Al is actually up their game. But for U.S. carriers, I mean, really, Alaska and Delta, anybody else, I'm really not going to fly these days.
Yeah, I'm the same way with the exception of Southwest. I flew United once, and it was May.
Well, you know what's funny?
And,
United and JetBlue used to be my go-to ones. And now they're just not anymore. I mean, JetBlue lost what really made them a thing. I think you're right, Joe. I think that bad business decisions, like making your airline have the worst reputation. And just like Kevin just said, anybody I've ever spoken to and told them about Spirit Airlines, I've never heard anything good. Nobody goes, oh, wait, I had a good flight. No, they all talk about how horrible it was and they had no option but Spirit. Or they really couldn't afford a flight. They had to fly Spirit. Nobody wants to fly Spirit Airlines. And that's a really, really bad business model. Appreciate the call, Joe. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one from the 206. Kevin, you're going to like this one. Ari, does Spirit Airlines make passengers sit on the toilet during flights like Turd Ferguson does?
What flight? Was that a private plane?
So it's the government's plane.
Okay.
Washington has this one little plane that Jay Inslee, the climate avenger, Captain Planet himself, loved that sucker. So it's got the 7 seats, but the 7th seat is the one on the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to bring up, I heard a story, I think it was back when Gawker still existed.
Yeah.
There was a story of someone wrote an article about them going on a private jet for the first time, and it was like their company provided it, and it was this big thing. Their company was flying them to Vegas in a private jet, and I think there was like 20 or 30 of them in there. And this person got diarrhea. And they said, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Where's the bathroom? And they pointed back at one of the aisles and they said, it's that seat in the middle of that aisle. So you flip the seat up.
And you just do your business in front of everybody?
The toilet is there.
Yeah.
And then you bring curtains up around it.
Oh, my God.
And this person was tall enough to see over the curtain, but they had there was like it was going to be an emergency if they didn't go. So they went. I don't know how true this thing was, but I remember reading this thing and I was crying. It was written. It was so funnily written.
Funny.
It was so funny, but so embarrassing.
So I'll tell you, I actually think that's the kind of plane they're talking about because I saw a video. There's one time there was a video where Jay Inslee had just done something climate related, and Katie Daviscourt or whoever got a video of him going out to the airport and getting on his private plane. I was kind of shocked at how cruddy his private plane is. You expect him to have these nice, Gulf Streams or whatever. It's like a prop deal. It's not a nice plane. Now, knowing Turd Ferguson.
It's like the plane they had to fly in Major League.
Yes, yes. The one that's all beat up and like they're reading the old issues from like the 1950s or whatever it is. Exactly right. So I'm wondering if Turd Ferguson is going to use this as an excuse to upgrade the private plane. Well, we really need a new private plane for us because we're so environmentally conscious.
Turd Ferguson.
Exactly. This one here, Ari from John. No government bailout for everyone. Lifelong General Motors guy. I was pissed when they got bailed out. Bought my first new vehicle from them in 2020. Their product is garbage. Won't do it again. John, go to my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Go over to Stellantis. I love their stuff. So let's see. I've driven through, I'd say, most of the Jeeps at this point. I've taken most of the Jeeps out. Every Dodge except for the Caravan. I really like their cars. I really do. I have no complaints about any of them so far. So if you're looking for a change, check out Stellantis. Definitely check them out. Switching gears entirely over the Middle East. What's going on with gas prices? So looks like things ain't too peachy. Iran sent another, well, please don't kill us. Here's our proposal. And it's really not great. So the president was asked about this today. So what are we going to do about this? How are we going to solve it? What is the plan? And do you need congressional approval to continue this?
Why are you not seeking congressional approval to extend it?
Because it's never been sought before. There's been many times, and nobody's ever gotten it before. They consider it totally unconstitutional. But we're always in touch with Congress. But nobody's ever sought it before. Nobody's ever asked for it before. It's never been used before. Why should we be different?
That's a little bit of an exaggeration. The last time it was used was World War XI, according to Ilhan Omar. Sorry, World War II. That was the last time we actually got congressional approval for a war, and we've had a lot of wars since then. So I think he means in the modern era, we haven't really done that before, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. We haven't done this kind of stuff before. Congress could say we're not funding your military anymore. They can do that, which is what they tried to do the other day. So where are we with this war? Because Pete Hegseth actually says it hasn't been 60 days. We had a 2-week ceasefire. So that's not, 60 days of war. So does the clock restart again? Are we starting it off with 60 days again? So where are we actually when negotiating with these guys?
It's a very disjointed, unfriendly leadership, unfriendly to each other. They're not getting along. They're very, very confused by what's happened because essentially most of their military has been wiped out. But we just had a conversation with Iran. Let's see what happens. But I would say that I am not happy. Their leadership is very disjointed, very argumentative with each other. They come back, one says one thing, one says another. They're very confused. Obviously, their country has been, frankly, decimated. Their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone. Many of their soldiers, unfortunately, are gone. They've got to come up with the right deal. At this moment, I'm not satisfied with what's going on.
So the media wants to leave people like that who can't agree on anything with nuclear weapons. That's what the Democrats want. The Democrats want us to just leave. Joe Kent types want us to just leave. Yes, let's leave the nuclear weapons in the hands of people like this. Let's do that. But it is an interesting question. Who are you actually negotiating with?
You had the CENTCOM commander come in here yesterday. Was he briefing you on a different approach, options? What kind of options? How would it look different?
There are options. I mean, do we want to go and just blast the hell out of him and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Do you want to go blast the hell out of him?
I'd prefer not. On a human basis, I prefer not, but that's the option. Do we want to go in there heavy and just blast them away, or do we want to do something? They're a very disjointed unitship, as you can understand, Peter, very disjointed. I mean, they're not getting along with each other, and it puts us in a bad position.
I love that. It's Peter Ducey. Do you want to go blow the hell out of them? That's a great question. Yeah, the problem here is who are you negotiating with? And you're going to have to go in and disarm them. It's the only way the Iranian people are going to actually rise up. And I think you got to stay in and you got to finish the job. Interestingly enough, I've got my people out at Cal Anderson Park today where the May Day protests are going on. And people are walking around with Hamas flags. People are walking around with the IRGC flags. People are talking about supporting Iran, and they don't mean the peaceful protesters who were executed by the regime. They mean the regime. I thought May Day is supposed to be about the workers. I thought it's supposed to be about socialism or communism, not terrorist organizations, but that's what they're backing up, all their little booths. That's all what it's about. That's what's going on at Cal Anderson Park today. Bravo. This is what kids are leaving school for. This is what the far left is doing. This is who your local Democrat Party has fully embraced. They sent out an email earlier last night about all the protests and where you could go. This is what they're sending people to. Insane. Absolutely insane. They're also supporting illegal aliens. When we come back, Washington State Patrol captures somebody on our most wanted list, but are they going to turn him over to ICE? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to remind everybody we got a contest going on over at KVI.com. You can enter to win a pair of tickets to the concert of your choice. Your options are Lionel Richie with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Santana and the Doobie Brothers, or Toto featuring Christopher Cross and the Romantics. It's the Summer of Live Show, $30 tickets to select Summer of Live shows. Head on over to livenation.com/promotion/Summer of Live. Tickets are on sale now through May 5th. That's right. After Star Wars Day, remember, that's the last time you got to buy those tickets is the day after Revenge of the 5th. So head on over to livenation.com. Head on over to KVI.com right now for your chance to win. So speaking of illegal immigration, President was asked earlier today about Ilhan Omar, and this is what he said, and I was giggling.
To further stop Medicare and Medicaid from being looted by criminals and thugs, we've launched a war on fraud. You've been watching it in the papers. We're all over Minnesota, California, all over the place. They're taking down hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of people a week and a day. It's led by great Vice President J.D. Vance. He's doing a great job. I said, J.D., I want that job. I want to do it as president. They said, you better, let's do a little delegation, please. But J.D.'s done a great job. Thousands and thousands of people are it's a fraud. I mean, look at the wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. You should try it sometime. Somalia, it's a beautiful place. It's got no government. It's got no military. It's got no anything. It's got one thing that's really strong, crime. It's got a lot of crime. They have no police. All they do is run around shooting each other. It's filthy dirty, disgusting dirty. It's a horrible place. They come here, and Ilhan Omar, you ever hear of her? She heads it. And think of it. They have nothing but crime, poverty, pollution. Everything is horrible over there. Nothing good. They say it's the worst country anywhere in the world, and we got some beauties out there, but it's the worst. And then she comes here from Somalia, and she tells us how to run the United States of America. She says, the Constitution gives me certain rights, and I demand that I be given these rights. Get the hell out, what a phone.
Yeah, okay. So 1 second here. Is she British now? I think he's been spending too much time with the king and the queen. Got that little British accent there. That was at the rally Trump had earlier today in Florida, ripping Ilhan Omar. Let's hear a little bit more of that.
And then she married a brother to come in. I don't know, you're not. But I would imagine they're looking at her. I have nothing to do with it. I would imagine. Of course I have nothing to do. I have nothing, but I believe she married her brother, which is totally illegal. Although it's a lovely couple, actually, but it's a little bit on the illegal side. Darling, I love you very much. Good night, brother. Let's go to bed. Good night.
We have a stand-up comedian as president. We have a stand-up comedian as president of the United States.
Isn't she despicable? I can't stand watching her. I can't stand. Did you see last month, she accidentally checked the wrong box. It said she was worth $38 million. And law enforcement came after her for that. And then all of a sudden, she was worth less than $80,000. And she said it was accounting. It was an accounting error. That was not a very good accountant, was it? Huh?
Okay. Big Trump rally today in Florida. The line was, out in the parking lot. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. They actually created an overflow space. There were so many people there. Meanwhile, back to what's happening here in Washington. So the Seattle Times ran this puff piece that under the immigration crackdown, rumors spread like wildfire. You remember this during the first days of the second Trump administration? I saw an ICE vehicle. There's an unmarked vehicle. ICE is here. ICE is there. You remember what? 4 schools were put into lockdown in Seattle public schools for no reason whatsoever because some kid thought they saw an ICE vehicle from the yearbook and posted on the Roosevelt High School yearbook page, and they put everybody into lockdown. even if you do see ICE, they're probably doing something we need them to do. So, for example, a fugitive on the run for 14 years was arrested by Washington State Patrol detectives in California yesterday. Detectives for the Washington State Patrol Madera Police Department arrested 33-year-old Manuel Cortez Vargas after credible information about his whereabouts surfaced. Cortez Vargas was placed on the Washington State Patrol's most wanted list in 2012 after he did not appear in court for a deadly hit-and-run charge. They said that he was involved in a rollover collision that killed 19-year-old Cameron Sheridan. Cortez Vargas was driving his Honda Accord with Sheridan in the passenger seat when he lost control on a curve near Sidro Woolley, according to Washington State Patrol in 2012. The car flipped down an embankment into a slough and was upside down, partially submerged in water when police arrived. Sheridan was trapped and drowned in the car. Sheridan's body was found inside, but Cortez Vargas had run off before authorities arrived. They said he was taken into custody without incident, booked into the Madera County Jail. He will face extradition to Skagit County to continue court proceedings related to the original charge. Now, I have a question. Is this guy in the country legally or illegally? So I sent a request out to our friends over at ICE because now you're talking about sanctuary state and sanctuary state. I wonder if they're just going to release this guy if he's actually an illegal alien or actually turn him over. It's crazy we even have to talk about this stuff. It's crazy we even have to consider these things. Well, thank God now the shutdown is finally over, the longest shutdown in government history. Markwayne Mullett was weighing in on the effects of the shutdown on our DHS and ICE and Border Patrol. Here's what he said.
What we have now is an opportunity to actually move forward. What was taking place was tearing Homeland altogether, from the Coast Guard all the way down to ICE and everybody in between. Just TSA, we lost almost 8% of the workforce, which is almost double what our attrition rate typically is.
Yeah, so how do you replace those people?
Well,
Can
it
you
takes
get them
4
back?
months. Well, not really. It takes about 4 months to onboard people. Just CISA, who's over, CISA, by the way, takes care of our cybersecurity. We're down 1,100 people.
Down?
Down. So almost a third of the workforce is no longer with us. 76 days being shut down, not being able to be operational. People say, well, but they're getting paid. We had State Department paying our electricity bill. We had DOW, Secretary Hegseth was paying our gas bill for the United States Coast Guard to operate. We may be able to pay paychecks, but we couldn't do anything. We had contractors walking off the border wall. We have drone defense companies that we're subcontracting from that was walking off jobs because we have MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with law enforcement that's got to deliver these 11 cities that we got FIFA coming to with the World Cup that haven't been paid since February. It was absolutely absurd, and AOC wants to sit there and say it was worth it. We are tasked to protect the homeland. I don't care where AOC lives or how she votes. My job is still to protect her constituents. And she thinks it's worth it to put their lives at danger because no other agency protects the homeland. DHS protects the homeland, and she thinks it's worth it. It's sad.
So Markwayne Mullin is operating under a false premise. He thinks the Democrats want to protect the homeland. He knows they don't. They actually don't. They wanted all those people off the workforce. They want us more vulnerable. They want us not to be able to patrol the border. That's what they actually wanted, and they knew they were accomplishing it with this shutdown. The reason the shutdown is over is because they couldn't justify it anymore after what happened Saturday night. After an attempted shooting of the President of the United States of America, when he's saved by Secret Service agents and other federal agents, you just look like absolute ghouls not funding those guys. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, the much-awaited debate between me and my friend Lars Larson over should James Comey have been indicted or not. Don't miss that excitement. Up next, you're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I remember before I was in talk radio, I was a consumer of talk radio. And one of my favorites was Lars Larson. And I would listen to his show all the time. And I remember thinking to myself, it'd be really fun if I ever disagreed with Lars to debate Lars. And this doesn't happen often. This does not happen often. But the other day I said something on my show, and my audience immediately said, Ari, the next time you have Lars on, can you get his perspective on this? Because him and you disagree. So I will make my case, and then Lars can eviscerate me, destroy me, whatever the case may be. But I'll tell you what it is, and this is for all my listeners out there. Don't say I don't do anything for you guys. All right, Lars. So here's the thing. Let's take James Comey for a second. I think he's pond scum. I think he's terrible. I think he should be in jail for multiple reasons. But for me, who comes from a family of attorneys, I go for the W. I go for the win. And with the 86-47 thing, what I am concerned about is you have to prove motive, you have to prove opportunity, you have to prove intent to kill the president. And it just takes one juror, just one juror, for this whole case to be gone. And then Comey gets to run around the rest of his life saying, I beat the president. And I think we have rock solid cases in other regards to stuff that he's done. And if you think about Al Capone for a second, we didn't get him on murder. We got him on tax evasion. So somebody like James Comey, I don't think he's smart enough to be Al Capone, but I think there's other things we can get him on more easily. Your thoughts, sir?
All right, let's start with, I will admit that I would like to see James Comey indicted for a really vast majority, a lot of things that he has done that are evil and wrong. But do I think that he's guilty of what the law makes illegal? And what the law makes illegal is threatening the life of the president, the vice president, certain cabinet secretaries, and members of their family. And you could even argue that a First Amendment purist would say, well, does the government have any business making a threat illegal? And the answer is probably not in a purist First Amendment environment, but we all understand time, place, and manner restrictions on all kinds of things, because all of the Bill of Rights are subject to time, place, and manner restrictions. You know, where you say you have this right, but the right is not inviolable. You can violate that right for a citizen under certain circumstances. So in this case, we have a federal law. I looked the law up again when Comey got charged, and the law simply says threatening the life of the president. It doesn't say you have to be successful or carry out the threat. You merely have to threaten. Now, you and I are subject to this because you and I both know that if we allow a listener to call the show and say why somebody ought to, for example, I'm going to use this as an example, somebody ought to kill Barack Obama. If they did that on my air and I allow it, because I have a delay to get rid of those kinds of things, if I allow that to go on the air, the Secret Service will be at my studio either that day or the next day, and they'll say, why did you allow that? If I said it myself, they would be there questioning me because all I've done is threaten, but that's what the law says is illegal. So the question is, no matter how you interpret 86, because I've had plenty of people say 86 actually means to throw someone out of a club. Well, it can also mean to kill somebody. So is 86-47 a threat? Did James Comey intended to be a threat? In interviews he's done since he posted that picture, he's admitted he knew what 86 meant and what it implied. So did he intend to threaten the president? You don't have to say, did he intend to carry it out? Did he think his suggestion was going to be taken up by somebody and done by somebody? No, all it has to be is the threat, the mere threat. Somebody getting on your air or my air and threatening the current president or the vice president or a number of other people is enough to break the law. Is that not enough for a win?
So I agree with everything you said. I agree with literally everything. But we also had O.J. Simpson dead to rights with literally everything. And what did we have to get O.J. Simpson for? We had to get him for armed robbery of sports memorabilia because you had a jury that wouldn't convict him. And it
although I will point out, since I covered the end of both cases, he was found legally responsible for his ex-wife's death in civil court. And you say, well, the standard of proof is lower. I said, it's good enough for me. They found him legally responsible for her death, and I call that a win. Was he found guilty of murder? He was not.
Right. So then he has to pay all the proceeds from the book, If I Did It, which the family redid to say, I did it with the cover, and anything else to the Goldmans and the Brown family for the rest of his life. But that's my point, is that I agree with everything you've just said. You have made a very compelling case. In fact, I think the case you made is more compelling than the one the Justice Department made. But it takes one juror. And all that defense attorney has to do is, when they're doing jury selection, get the bluest hair, Trump hating person in that room. That's all they have to do.
Yeah.
And then Comey, for the rest of his life, gets to say, I beat Donald Trump.
Let me, since you're from a family of lawyers, I'll ask you a couple of questions. Do you know what a petty jury is?
Yes.
Okay, that's the jury that decides the case in a criminal trial. Do you know what a grand jury is then? Because there's grand and petty. We use French terms for it. So the grand jury decides, is there enough here to take it to court? A grand jury of average citizens decided there was enough there to put it in front of a petty jury in court and have the petty jury hear all of it. So you've already had one jury that said, I think there's enough there to bring the criminal charge. I think that gets us a good way. And you are right. All they need is
yeah, but I'll say this. You know as well as I do that a grand jury, the saying is on a grand jury that they'll indict a ham sandwich. And for me, the Jewish guy, I think we should indict all the ham sandwiches. But I will say this, is that what I am concerned about, and I can not say this enough, Lars, because I love you, I respect you, you know, I'm a fan of yours, is that one juror. And I don't want Comey to have a win, and I don't want the Democrats to have a win, because they'll run on it.
I think you're right. And by the way, I think Trump should run on his whims. I don't think he mentions often enough, they indicted me twice, acquitted twice. And he should say acquitted twice, because that's literally true. And I'm sure that, God forbid, if the Democrats happen to get a majority after this fall's elections, they will do it again, at least once. My prediction is they may do it twice in his last 2 years.
Law and order is not the same anymore, so it'll be fun to watch it in Congress.
Although after the Supreme Court decided Louisiana, I think that Republicans have an even bigger margin after this November than they do right now.
Yeah, we'll definitely see that. And then we'll see if the Democrats have the Nazi in the Senate afterwards. I did hear this one, Lars. I heard people in Maine, they nicknamed him Maine Kampf, which I thought was pretty funny. I thought that was a good one for him. Lars Larson, you can catch a show every single weekday from 12 to 3 right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Have a wonderful weekend, my friend.
And you as well. Take care, Ari.
Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines. Put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode, another amazing week of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I just want to thank the lovely people we met down in Vancouver, Washington. Last night had a great event with Guy Benson, John Braun. It was really just fantastic. Great to see so many new faces because I don't get down south a lot. So really just great to see everybody down there. Really a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody for coming out. We'll let you know when more events are happening in the future. So with all the excitement at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with an assassination attempt, we didn't get some of the red carpet fun. Robert Smigel from Saturday Night Live, he does that shtick. He used to make the cartoons on Saturday Night Live, but he also does that shtick he used to do for the Conan O'Brien show, Triumph, the insult comic dog. I don't know why I find that stupid shtick so funny. It's just basically a sock puppet of a dog that he's wearing on his hand, going around messing with people, joking around with them. So Robert Smigel shows up at the red carpet, and Marco Rubio's there. Now, mind you, he went up to every member of the cabinet. He did. Marco Rubio plays along. He's entertaining. But this was the only one I kind of found funny. Give a little bit of a listen and just realize Marco Rubio's got a big smile on his face messing with the dog here.
Marco, come on, you can do this. What's the matter, Mr. Secretary? Afraid of a little dog? I'm down on my luck, Marco. Please, just one question. Just tell me which country you're attacking next. I'm trying to win some money on Polymarket. I'm trying to win some money on Polymarket, man. Just give me a wink if it's Kazakhstan.
It's illegal for dogs to gamble.
It's illegal for dogs to gamble. I like that there. Marco Rubio's a good sport about it. Had a lot of fun with it. In other good news, things that are going on around here, the first flight from Miami to Caracas landed yesterday. It was a whole big deal in the airport. According to the AP, the first direct commercial flight between the United States and Venezuela arrived Thursday at the capital of South American country, 7 years after the U.S. Homeland Security Department ordered an indefinite suspension citing security concerns. Now, think about this. Realize this, how many people couldn't go home, couldn't see their families because of an evil dictator. And also, wait, weren't we going to start a war? Weren't we going to be in a war with Venezuela? I heard we're going to be in a war. Now we got their oil, we got rid of a dictator, and now we got direct flights going back there. The resumption of nonstop commercial flights between the two countries comes months after the U.S. capture of then-President Nicolas Maduro in a stunning nighttime raid on his residence in Caracas in early January. Was that complimentary? Was that almost complimentary? Don't say Trump, but okay, fine. It also comes a month after the U.S. formally reopened its embassy in Caracas, following the restoration of full diplomatic relations with Venezuela. Oh, funny, get rid of the dictator, and all of a sudden everything's okay here. One passenger said, I'm very excited to go see the family. I'm looking forward to seeing the country. Just to go and see the family on a direct flight from Miami to Caracas is priceless. The director of the U.S. National Energy Dominance Council, Jared Agin, was among the passengers on the inaugural flight. He's scheduled to meet with Venezuelan officials and executives from energy and mining sectors as part of the Trump administration's efforts to facilitate the entry of U.S. companies into the South American country, reported the Venezuelan government. We're going to get the oil, too. Oh, and guess what? Then oil prices go down? Yeah. At Miami International Airport, American Airlines handed passengers small Venezuelan flags. Balloons with its colors, yellow, blue, and red, adorn the gate leading to the plane. Flight AA 3599, operated by Envoy Air, a subsidiary of American Airlines, departed Miami at 10:11 a.m., 5 minutes ahead of its scheduled time, according to Miami International Airport flight departure information. It arrived 3 hours later in the Venezuelan capital, returning to Florida later that afternoon. Earlier, the airline said a second daily flight between Miami and Caracas will start on May 21st. In late January, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he informed Venezuela's acting president, Rodriguez, that he would open up all commercial airspace over the country, allowing Americans to visit. Quote, American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela. They'll be safe there. The flights mark the resumption of nonstop travel between the U.S. and Venezuela for the first time since diplomatic ties were severed in 2019. For the past 7 years, passengers have relied on international airlines and indirect routes through neighboring Latin American countries. In January, the airline announced the resumption of flights. It said it would give customers the opportunity to reunite with families, pursue new business opportunities. American Airlines was the last U.S. airline flying to Venezuela. It suspended flights in 2019 between Miami and Caracas, as well as flights to the oil hub city of Maracaibo. Delta and United Airlines pulled out in 2017 amid a political crisis that forced millions to flee the country. A political crisis? What was that? Oh, what was that political crisis? Was it a dictatorship? Was it communism? Maybe, a political crisis. Whoa, nice job, AP. Great. Not the dictator rose to power and people were eating dogs in the streets. A political crisis. Quote, parents will be able to connect with children, grandparents, and grandchildren, entire families with a home that shaped and raised them, said Miami-Dade County Mayor Danielle Levine Cava at a news conference before boarding started. Said Miami-Dade is home to the largest Venezuelan community in the United States. Yeah, and you know what they'll tell you? Communism, bad. Socialism, bad. Dictatorships, bad. That's why they came to America. So it's all well and good that we're fixing things over there. At least this government's more friendly. I hope it's not heading down the same path as Maduro. We're going to have to do this all over again. Anywho, that's all good news all around. I had some Venezuelan friends when I was growing up, and they love their homeland. They absolutely adore their homeland. They were really, really sad seeing what was happening to the entire thing. So this is just good news for everybody. This is good news overall. Peace through strength wins again. Well, my friends, that's going to about wrap it up for us this week. But fear not. You can always find out what's going on over the weekend over on my social media channels, Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook and Instagram, The Hofffather over on Twitter. Also, check us out on YouTube. And check out KVI.com and download the KVI app. You'll get my latest articles. We'll see you next week with more insane stories, more exciting guests. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.